I'm still coming through?
Yeah, you're fine.
Okay, good. Accidentally clicked mute on my mic and then accidentally turned off my mic, and now it's back on.
Oh.
All right, show intro sorted already?
Yeah.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Let's Go to the Ring, where we take a look at the good old days and not so good old days of World Championship Wrestling series by series. I'm your host, Bob Moore, and I'm joined by a man with a bird's eye view of the podcast, Alec Pridgeon.
It's true, I live in a nest. It's very comfortable.
How's it going tonight, Al?
Good. How about you?
Doing all right. We've got some interesting things going on with being able to get the source material for the podcast right now, but we'll discuss that later.
Yeah.
Fortunately, we were able to still accomplish this episode tonight. So tonight we are taking a look at Halloween Havoc 1995. There's nowhere to hide. What? But I had this great idea for a hide-and-go-seek match. Oh,
sorry.
Halloween Havoc 1995 was held on October 29th, 1995 at the Joe Louis Arena in Detroit, Michigan, in front of 13,000 fans, 7,000 of which paid. Interestingly, we can actually judge this directly against last year, as WCW is back in the same arena as they were in the 1994 show.
Oh, there you go.
Unfortunately for WCW, 1995's numbers are a decline.
Ooh.
There's 1,000 less fans in attendance and about 1,500 less paying fans. That might, I don't know, have something to do with the fact that the focus of the show was a monster truck sumo match that would be taking place on the rooftop of nearby Cobo Hall, later renamed Huntington Place, i.e. not in the arena and not even at the same building.
Yeah.
It seems pretty likely to me that at least 1,000 people would say, well, I guess I'll just catch it on TV where I have a better view then.
Not a good view, but a better view.
Yes. Or maybe not, as Halloween Havoc 1995 received 145,000 pay-per-view buys, 80,000 less than last year.
Oof.
Strangely, people signing in to watch a wrestling show were less interested in seeing Hulk Hogan drive a monster truck than they were in seeing Hulk Hogan wrestle Ric Flair. Who would have thought?
I guess they thought people love wrestling and different people love monster trucks. If they all go to the show and they all pay us to watch it, we'll make millions.
I mean, an M for monster is just a W turned upside down, so WCW probably thought it was fine.
Yeah, I can see that.
Before the show, there were 4 matches recorded for WCW's main event television show. We had Eddie Guerrero versus Disco Inferno, Paul Orndorff versus the Renegade, Chris Benoit and Dean Malenko versus the Blue Bloods, Lord Steven Regal and Earl Robert Eaton, and Craig Pittman versus VK Wall Street. Poor Orndorff. At least he only had to fight to get the crowd to boo him instead of the Renegade for about a minute and a half this time, instead of Bash at the Beach 1995's over 6 minutes.
Oh, yeah. Also, about the fact that, and obviously this is a bit of it hindsight, but I think people knew the talent they had at the same time. So, we're running a pay-per-view and you're trying to get everyone to watch and you get the best quality show. And you take Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit, and Dean Malenko and don't put them on the show.
Fair enough, though I would debate that WCW's goal is ever to put the best quality show on.
I mean, you always want to hope it is. So, I'm viewing it from that standpoint.
As for our show, aside from having a monster truck sumo match, it should be pretty normal, right? Right?
Yeah.
To find out, let's go to the ring.
The moon is full. Motown's gone mad. Halloween Havoc is here. 2 demons have emerged. The Giant, he has a Jones for destruction. His motorcycle smashing, back cracking, bone crunching, neck choking rampage has opened the ghastly gate for the man who could not stay down. WCW World Champion Hulk Hogan has crossed over to the dark side to take on the evil powers in their own eerie world. Shudder to think about their monster trucks locked up in a sumo-style showdown. If survival is possible, they will then be hauntingly close when they see each other eye to eye inside the fortress called the Ring. It will happen before your very eyes here at Halloween Havoc 95.
Halloween Havoc is on the air. It's 1995.
I love this intro both ironically and unironically.
Uh-huh.
Let's be clear, this thing is ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
The narration is way over the top in kind of an odd episode preview of a Saturday morning cartoon Halloween episode sort of way.
Mm-hmm.
And the visuals are amazing. We have Grim Reapers turning into Hogan and the Giant, the requisite spooky mansion on a hill, a gate marked HH, ambiguously for Halloween Havoc or Hulk Hogan, and video footage in bat outlines like the video director is Batman or something.
Yeah.
Plus the line, shudder to think of their monster trucks, which just takes any remote possibility that we'll be taking this seriously and chucks it right off Cobo Hall. But in a way, it is also possibly the best intro this series has yet done. It simultaneously engages with the Halloween theme in both presentation and wording, and manages to give a pretty decent coverage of the story with narration and visuals.
Yeah.
Watching this, you at least come away with a basic understanding of what's going on. Not all the details, but the basics. That's a lot more than I could say for some other WCW shows where it's sometimes not even possible to tell which people are in a match together.
That's true. Because, with the previous show where the ghosts don't even line up with the people they're fighting, it's just like, here's a random order. They're all at the show. It's just whatever. You'll figure it out.
I love those intros too, just for they do such a good job with the theme, but it's much harder to tell what's actually going on in the show other than these people are somehow involved.
Yeah, exactly.
Host Tony Schiavone welcomes us to the show as last year's Witch and Moon graphic lets us know that the show is live. We cut to Tony and co-host Bobby the Brain Heenan, and each gets a name card on screen with graphics. Tony gets the weird face that kind of looks like a pumpkin that I believe we saw last year, and Heenan appears to have Baron Samedi or something.
It's a big Live and Let Die fan.
Yeah.
As are we all.
Tony builds up Hogan and Giant facing off not once, but twice in a sumo monster truck match, and then in the ring for the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. Heenan claims that the trucks revving up next door on Cobo Hall made the Joe Louis Arena shake. If that's true, I would have a word with the architects.
That's a very bad design on one or both of those buildings, yes.
Maybe they are powered by the sledgehammers of the Destruction Crew.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Oddly, we cut to footage of Hogan and Giant already in their monster trucks and driving at each other and backing away, as Tony knows that they'll have to get those two back in the arena because it's not time for the match yet. One wonders why, then, they had multiple camera angles ready, including cuts to inside each truck cab.
You never know.
Tony turns to discussing the upcoming Flair and Sting versus Pillman and Anderson match, and says that Flair was attacked by Pillman and Anderson just before the show. Heenan giggles, and Tony yells at him. Tony says they don't yet know Flair's condition. Heenan says Flair should have expected it, given he's facing Anderson and Pillman. They mean business. Fair enough, honestly.
Yeah.
Flair, above anyone, should know horseman tactics.
Exactly.
He evidently missed Tony saying that they don't know Flair's condition, so he asks how bad Flair's injuries are. Tony smoothly repeats that he doesn't know. Tony also mentions Heenan eating sushi and says that they'll talk about that later, and builds up the first match, Diamond Dallas Page versus Johnny B. Bad. He throws to a video package.
At Fall Brawl, Johnny B. Bad won the right to face Sting for the U.S. title with a win over Flying Brian.
Weighing 236 pounds, Johnny B. Bad.
But when his big moment arrived on WCW Saturday Night, Bad was a no-show.
Hey, what a way you talk about I said they were going to be topsy-turvy, if you will, on WCW Saturday Night. What a way to start this thing. Where's Johnny B. Bad at?
I have no idea, but the Sting is ready to go.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've just been informed that due to the importance of this
this match. Johnny B. Bad has not arrived yet, but we are going to give him a little bit more time.
Later in the program, Bad was given another opportunity to come to the ring, but failed again. Flying Brian therefore got the match against Sting for the U.S. title.
Something has gone wrong. Johnny B. Bad, if you joined us late, he was supposed to come out at the beginning of the program to wrestle Sting. He beat Flying Brian at Fall Brawl to earn the title shot, but he is a no-show. Therefore, by default, Flying Brian gets a shot against the Stinger.
Then, at the end of the program, Bad arrives.
Earlier tonight missed his opportunity to meet Sting for the United States title.
This is the worst
what
day
happened?
of my entire life. Gene, I had car trouble. I had a flat tire. On the biggest day of my professional career, I have a flat tire.
Wait a minute, you had a flat tire? You could have at least given us a telephone
Gee,
call, John.
Don't you think if I had a phone, I would have called somebody?
Hey, Payne.
What are you doing?
You are so stupid. How could you be so stupid to miss your shot at the WCW US Championship belt? I mean, I should have got the shot anyway. I'm a world champion. I'm a television world champion. It should have been mine.
Wait a minute, Paige. Here's the man that earned the right to meet Sting for the U.S. title. He beat Flying Brian Pillman at Fall Brawl. Johnny, that's his misfortune.
Do you think I would have missed this match and have an opportunity to prove to Sting who could be the next U.S. champion?
Zeros don't become champions. Guys like Diamond Dallas Page become champions.
Now, Max Muscle, what do you have to say about it?
Yeah, it is pretty tough getting here with 4 flat tires, ain't it, Dallas?
Wait a minute. Wait, how did you know it was 4 flat tires? I said a flat tire!
Oh, no! What a punch!
This is honestly a pretty good video package.
Yeah.
They could have maybe trimmed the interview segment just a tad at the end of it, but it told us what we needed to know. Plus, Bad's theatrical punch at the end is utterly hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
I love also that the whole thing hinges on Bad incongruously not mentioning that he had 4 flat tires so that Max can give away the game.
Uh-huh.
If I had 4 flat tires trying to get somewhere, I'm pretty sure I would say that from the get-go. That's kind of a noteworthy detail.
Yeah.
Especially when Gene and Paige are later giving him crap for not being able to get there.
Yeah, exactly. That's something you do in like a Knives Out movie. You typically don't get that information, then you say that and go, wait, I didn't say this.
Yeah. An easy fix would have just been to have him be interrupted right after saying car trouble and not have mentioned the tires yet and have Muscle know that it was a flat tire at all.
Yeah.
Because that would be more realistic, but it's still a fun bit.
Yeah. I wonder how you would go literally anywhere on 4 flat tires.
It'd be pretty tough.
Yeah. They've toned it down a bit by this point, but early on, Johnny B. Bad, very, very covered in makeup to look darker, really leading into the whole Little Richard thing.
Yes.
So I'm glad it's toned down, but it's just funny to see them put random grease on his face, symbolize that he worked on a car.
Yes.
Just kind of reminds you that happened.
The crowd that taping was the biggest beneficiaries because they got to hear the wonderfully ridiculous Johnny B. Bad theme song and Man Called Sting multiple times on the show.
Yeah, that's true.
For the multiple entrances attempts.
Mm-hmm. I get what they're going with the story, but it's funny that the entire thing hinges upon him having this one chance to have the match. Like, oh, sorry, you can't have it now because you didn't show up this one place this one time.
I guess it is your responsibility when you have a title match to be there to take your opportunity.
Yeah.
They do a similar thing with Luger in 96, which leads to the absolutely wonderful, oops, I missed a match, but they did grant me another chance. So I'm going to literally camp outside the arena.
Oh, yeah.
Intro to Nitro the one time. But oh my gosh. I'm going to stop so I don't start going on and on about how much I love 1996 Lex Luger. But
that's for next show.
Yes. So our first match is Diamond Dallas Page with the Diamond Doll, Kimberly, and Max Muscle versus Johnny B. Bad for Page's WCW World Television Championship. The referee for this one is Nick Patrick. In a rare case of WCW not uselessly spending loads of money, the set tonight appears to be using pretty much the same design and props as last year. We have the same crypt entrance and video screen, same or similar tombstones, the works. Same name card graphics, too. Page's theme at the time is a total ripoff of School's Out by Alice Cooper. Kimberly is out first, followed by Paige with quite a sparkly coat and cigar, and Johnny B. Bad's Bad Blaster. Max follows. He's Max.
Mm-hmm.
Tony builds up tension between Paige and Kimberly over Paige's nefarious tactics in the feud with Bad. Heenan says she should mind her own business and just enjoy Paige's money. Tony updates that Flair is indeed injured and Sting has not yet arrived. Heenan criticizes Flair and Sting's teamwork for not even arriving together. Paige fires off the Bad Blaster. Bad's theme hits and he walks out, for some reason backwards. That's odd.
Mm-hmm.
Oh well, the sparkly cape says, "Have a bad day," so it must be him, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Paige thinks so, but the real Bad comes in through the crowd, walks up behind Paige, spins him around, and decks him, and we're off. Per Wikipedia, fake Bad was Joey Maggs, who we first saw, I believe, playing one of the creatures at Halloween Havoc 1991.
That's correct, yes.
Heenan complains that this isn't fair to Paige, and Tony says, to heck with it being fair, like a great face. Bad beats Paige up inside and outside the ring and easily counters Max Muscle's interference. He puts a randomly placed bucket on Paige's head and claps his hands around it. Who am I kidding? Paige probably had a diagram with specific measurements for bucket size and placement and put it there himself before the show.
Mm-hmm. Kept the receipt, too.
Yeah. Back in, Bad starts working the arm. Paige tries to pull Bad's hair to get free, but Bad pulls Paige's hair in response. Patrick warns Bad not to pull the hair, and Bad says, like this, and yanks on Paige's hair again.
Jeez.
Bad gets 2 off a hip toss, but when he goes for corner punches, Paige dumps him onto the turnbuckle. Paige asks for a 10 from Kimberly, but she refuses. Paige taunts Bad as he beats him up and gives himself a 10. 2 count for Paige off a knee drop, and he once again gives himself a 10 off a belly-to-back suplex, as Kimberly dismissively holds up a 10 as well. Paige has a cut near his eye. I'm not quite sure when he got that. Paige reverse chin lock, and Kimberly looks worried. Tony says that's odd, because Paige is winning. 2 counts off a Paige hair pull takedown, Paige headlock wrench, Bad backslide counter into a hip toss, Paige clothesline, Paige sitting counter to a sunset flip, Bad reversal of the counter, and Paige scoop power slam. Heenan and Tony note Paige expanding his repertoire of moves and improving as a wrestler. Heenan also says there's no excuse for having money.
Okay.
Tony is as confused as Al sounds there.
Yeah.
And Heenan clarifies that he meant that people with money don't have to make excuses.
That makes more sense, yeah.
Yes. Bad fights a Paige hold, but Paige gets a hand from Max Muscle and flips Bad to the mat for 2. Paige repeatedly yells, "Get up, you idiot!" And Max eventually gets on the apron and distracts Patrick. So I think, at first I thought he was talking to Bad, but I think that was directed at Max Muscle.
I believe so, yeah.
I'm not sure if that's just Paige being in character or if Max actually was behind.
Not sure, yeah.
Paige uses his wrist tape to choke Bad, and then works a headlock as Kimberly looks on disapprovingly. Patrick checks the arm, but Bad keeps it up on the 3rd check. Bad counters Paige a few times, then fires up with atomic drops and a series of punches. After a double axe handle off the top, he appeals to Kimberly, who gives him a 10 with a smile. 2 counts off that axe handle, a scary Bad powerbomb, Paige's Diamond Dream DDT, and Bad's rope grab counter to the Diamond Cutter. It's interesting that the Diamond Cutter isn't yet fully established as a finisher to end all finishers yet, but we are seeing some of the counter spots already emerging.
True, yeah.
Paige tries to dump Bad over the ropes, but Bad holds on and sends him out instead, then dives onto Paige and Max. Back inside, Bad tries his finishing punch, now called the Tutti Frutti, but Max grabs him from the apron. Paige charges, but Bad ducks, and Paige stops, but Bad drop kicks him to send him into Max anyway for 2. The crowd and I both thought that was going to be it.
Yeah, for sure.
Paige throws Bad outside, but Bad counters a ring post ran by Max, who awkwardly stops before hitting the post. Back in, Max distracts Bad, and Paige grabs Bad, but Bad ducks a Max clothesline, and Max is not as good as his boss at stopping, so he nails Paige, who goes butt over tea kettle. Bad punches Max, who sells in slow motion. Bad pins Paige for the 3 count and the win. A grinning Bad celebrates with the belt, and the crowd is quite into that win. Kimberly, as well, is all smiles, but Heenan knows that she might be celebrating now, but she might be out of work by midnight. Thoughts on this one?
Thought this was a nice, strong opening match. Thinking about the matches they have on this show, since we're not quite at the cruiserweight phase, sadly, I think this is definitely the best match they could have picked for this.
Mm-hmm.
Not just both things, going matches 2 through 4 of the choices, this is definitely the best, for sure.
Yeah, I think the only other one that I would maybe consider picking for an opener would be the JL versus Sabu one, which I don't think is as strong a match as this, but it does have like the speed that you'll get from the cruiserweights later on.
I think someone said there's 3 different shows for the opening matches, Page and Bad.
Yeah.
Sounds about right. I know of 2. I maybe was forgetting a third one.
They seem like a pretty reliable pairing.
Mm-hmm.
They're able to work quite well together.
Yeah. And if memory serves, that we haven't watched the show in a long time, I believe the previous show, Fall Brawl, was also opened by the Bad and Pillman match. I think he's getting a pretty good niche as a guy they can throw out. He's got a big, flashy entrance. He's got some big, flashy moves. And he's got enough crowd interaction, crowd support that it sort of wakes the crowd up nicely. Like, you generally don't want to throw, like, Sting in an opening match for a number of reasons, mostly because you don't want to hype the crowd too much and then deflate them for the next person. And it's not a knock on Bad, but yeah, he's not Sting. I think that's a fair statement.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought they told a really good match here. There's a really good story through the match because Bad's obviously working from underneath once the cheating starts. Page has, a guy is outside, even if he's not always the quickest one to help out. And he's using all the cheap tactics and rest holds and all these sort of things. Whereas Bad, other than there'll be a couple of things, it doesn't really resort to that kind of stuff. And even if he does, it's just response to Page. So you go, oh, well, yeah, that's just a face responding to the bad guy. I think my only real gripe with this match is that I'm kind of disappointed that Bad didn't win with one of his own moves.
Mm-hmm.
I get what they're going for, the idea that, Page is so reliant on Max interfering and outside help that when it goes wrong, it goes horribly wrong. And I get the idea, obviously, that Max Muscle, he's a big guy, and eventually would definitely knock you down. I just don't know if he necessarily has the name value to be like, oh, his one, full one punch man. That's all it takes to knock you down kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, it is always the thing, right? Like, you're hit by something from outside, someone hitting you from the apron, even if it's a lighter move that wouldn't normally put you down, normally puts you down in a match.
Yeah.
Like that interference factor, like, charges the move up more, I guess.
Yeah. If you're outside the ring, you get, like, the backstab bonus, I guess.
Yes. I can see also that concept for the ending preserves Page a little bit more for future matches in the feud because it's not definitive. Bad didn't hit his own thing that's definitely took Page out entirely on his own. Page can legitimately blame this loss on Max Muscle.
Yeah, that was my only note, was that they want to keep the story going and they have at least one more match, so that's one way to do it. I'm not necessarily opposed to it, but I think it would have been nice if he could have still had the knockout spot and maybe he does, like, some sort of splash or other flying move as a follow-up one, not just, it's a pretty minor critique on a match. It's quite fun and laid out well because, it's TDP.
Yeah, I thought this was a solid opening match. Bad has a good selection of dynamic moves, and Page is already a great storyteller and has a strong heel character, showing signs of the breakout personality that he is going to be in 1996.
Mm-hmm.
The crowd's reaction to this varied a little bit. They were into Bad's comebacks, but they didn't really react to normal cues like Max Muscle banging on the mat in rhythm. So the match gets surprisingly quiet at points, but the crowd then still really cheers hard where you would expect them to.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple spots that get a little bit sloppy. That powerbomb by Bad in particular was a little scary.
Yeah.
And Max Muscle was very obvious about getting into places for cues and terrible at selling in his brief moments. The fact that part of the story is dealt with whether a lady would hold up a card marked 10 was also a little bit silly, but that's Page's gimmick right now.
Yeah.
He'll see better days.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, though, this had some really good storytelling and some strong character work, and it used the feud well with both of them taunting each other and Bad pushing it sometimes with the rules because he so disliked Page. Good ending, too, Max Muscle aside. It twisted expectations a few times in rapid succession. It gave a nice false finish, teased a possible heel recovery, and then gave the fans what they wanted. So all in all, quite a good opener, and I definitely feel like these two are a good pairing.
Absolutely, yeah. Of course, the duo would have another match. They will have a rematch at the next show. I believe they are also opening, and that show is World War III. As part of the continuous story, Paige has to sort of raise the stakes a bit. And as part of that, and plus because he obviously gets annoyed with Kimberly not supporting him because, he's forced to do things she doesn't like and, he's just a jerk all around. He is convinced to put her managerial services on the line as well. So he's putting that stake on the line against the TV title to help let Johnny be bad.
Tony and Heenan discuss the upcoming Hogan versus Giant matches, noting that this will be the first time either has seen Giant wrestle. On the topic of the monster truck match, Heenan says that since the trucks are hooked together for the match, if one pushes the other off the roof, both would fall. This could be a no-win situation. Bless you for trying to make this dramatic, Heenan. Bless you.
Yeah, right?
Tony says the object is to push both axles of the opponent's truck out of the match area, or to flip him. Given that they're hooked together, wouldn't flipping one truck also flip the other?
Yeah, I would love them to physically involved trying to flip two monster trucks with one turning a wheel or an axle somehow.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Doesn't quite make sense.
No. But speaking of making sense or not quite making sense, match 2 is the Macho Man, Randy Savage, versus the Zodiac. Referee for this one is Randy Anderson.
Savage is, of course, fighting alongside Hulk Hogan. That is, Savage's role is either to be Hogan's friend or Hogan's enemy. For the latter, see next episode. Give or take, depending on how things go. This time, it is against the Dungeon of Doom. Essentially, it's this big master group, no pun intended, of random cartoonish bad guys and monster-like people. So Hogan needs help, so of course he's got his buddy Sting. Sting has his buddy Luger, who might be a good guy, who also might be in the dungeon. And of course Savage is there because, again, he's Hogan's buddy, as long as they draw money. As part of the story, of course, Lex Luger very recently debuted on television, famously appeared without any notice from WWF, who could have sworn he's under contract last week.
Yeah, he walks out on the very first Nitro, in fact, right?
Correct, yes. But yeah, so he comes out and makes it very clear he wants the world title. Savage, who's Hogan's buddy, he basically just doesn't trust him because he thinks he wants the title and do anything to get it, which even would mean teaming up with the bad guys. So they don't get along. However, they're sort of connected there by Sting, who, as mentioned, is part of this whole thing. He convinces them that they still need to fight the Dungeon of Doom. They're still a threat. So they do agree to essentially qualifying matches to fight each other. They both agree to fight a member of the Dungeon of Doom on this show, and when they both win, they then earn the right to beat the crap out of each other.
Okay.
It'd be nice if they explained the reason why there's qualifying matches on, say, this show.
Yeah. Like on this show, it's just like Sting wanted these to happen. From Luger's promo, it even sounds like Sting is the one that wants them to fight. But that makes much more sense. Sting is like, okay, I know you guys don't like each other, but let me at least direct your energies towards a productive thing of beating up the dungeon. And then if you want to, you can fight each other after that.
Exactly, yeah. Now, in all the build-up on television, the idea was that Kamala, the Ugandan giant, who, of course, is part of the Dungeon of Doom, he was scheduled to fight Savage in the build-up to the show. However, leading up to the show right away, he quit the company. There is varying reports as to what happened. The typical line is questions about pay. There's a lingering rumor, which unfortunately hard to confirm given the status of most people involved in this story, that he was told he's losing to Savage and he didn't like that, which would seem a little silly of all people to complain about jobbing to Savage. But
yeah, pretty high up the card there. It's not like they're asking you to job to someone that's just getting established.
Yeah. Again, that's not 100% confirmed, so don't necessarily take that as proof, but that's the most persistent rumor is that they told him, hey, losing to Savage in this match, he got mad and they fired him over that. Either way, he's not here. So we have a better replacement? Yes? No.
I knew you'd do that.
Yeah, I had to.
The Zodiac comes out in his weird zebra stripe outfit and zebra stripe face paint to what will eventually be Rey Mysterio Jr.'s theme.
Oh, yeah.
Tony and Heenan do Zodiac's yes-no gimmick for those lucky enough to be unaware and who didn't get it from what Al just did. Basically, Zodiac's entire gimmick was that he would only say yes or no. That's it.
Yeah.
That's his gimmick. What that has to do with the Zodiac is beyond me.
Yeah. It can kind of come off like a much worse version of the whole Gollum Smeagol thing from Lord of the Rings. Except, not actually inflicting inner monologue, just saying yes or no and doing weird little head twitches with like he's somehow fighting for control. I think the idea is supposed to have like more than one person in his brain or something. They don't elaborate and I don't care.
Like you, I don't get it and I don't care to research it to try to get it.
Yeah.
My personal thought is that Ed Leslie just didn't want to have to come up with promos.
Yeah. I don't know why he's a zebra unless they were like in the dictionary and they went to Zodiac and somehow next to the line is zoo.
Maybe.
Or it's like zebra or zebra, depending where you're at. And then Zodiac, they're like, close enough. Give him a horn.
Yeah.
Don't think so.
It's bizarre. I mean, like obviously it goes with the yes-no thing because he's got black and white split on him as well, but it's very strange.
Yeah, it's much more of a yin-yang thing than Zodiac.
Exactly, yeah. I'm wondering if they got the wrong word.
Yeah.
If they wanted to call him yin-yang or something and someone was like, Zodiac, that's what it is, right?
Yeah, because Zodiac, I mean, I'm not an expert, I'm pretty sure it's 12.
12 different animals or something like that, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Or signs, not all.
Yeah, winter animals, yeah. Whether it's American or Chinese, it's not just two things.
No. Savage is out next and gets a monster reaction. He greets a lady in the crowd and slaps hands with everyone he can manage on the way down to the ring. His left arm is bandaged pretty heavily. With Zodiac posing on the second rope, Savage attacks from behind. Meanwhile, Tony explains that Sting arranged for Savage and Luger to each have matches tonight, and if they each won, they'd fight each other, and Hogan is not happy about any of this. After some basic action and bad Zodiac selling, a random fan tries to get into the ring, and Randy Anderson quickly tackles him, bravely holding him back while Savage and Zodiac smartly move their fight outside. Security eventually gets there and drags the fan off as Savage and Zodiac return. Having run Savage into the ring post, Zodiac slams him and tries a second rope splash, but Savage dodges and hits the big elbow for the 3 count in the win. Savage celebrates and holds up one finger, indicating that he's won the first of his 2 matches tonight. Heenan says this puts extra pressure on Luger to win his match. It's time to put up or shut up. Tony says it's good for Savage that he finished this so fast, so he'll be fresh for later. Thoughts on this one?
So I love Randy Savage, but there's really nothing to talk about in this match at all. I mean, he runs out, they do basic brawling for a bit. The weird fan comes in, gets taken down by literally the smallest ref you could possibly have. Not Randy Anderson, but he literally is. If Nick Patrick takes you down, I respect that. But Randy Anderson just grabs you and just headlocks you down, or front face locks you down. Wow.
His nickname is Pee-wee.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah. Now, he does have wrestling training.
Correct.
As well, but still, the fan that comes in is not small either. He's a pretty tall dude. Good on Randy Anderson there for, one, being willing to put himself in the line there, and 2, being quite able to actually control this guy pretty well.
Yeah. I don't know how their match play was before that happens, obviously, but the result of what happens is they have a pretty basic fight inside. That to go outside, have a very basic fight outside because you've even less options outside than, you can't do running off the ropes and all sorts of things outside. And they quickly just kind of rush to the finish and inside. So I'm sad that there's such a nothing Randy Savage match, but it's a nice short Ed Leslie match, so there's a positive there.
Yeah.
A match that technically had to happen, but ultimately didn't need to happen.
Fair enough. Yeah, clearly this match did not go as planned, so I can't really judge its overall design and plotting, and I'm not going to judge the guys for their move variety or quality when 90% of the match is just them doing a few things to keep busy while the ref and security deal with a potentially dangerous situation. I'm not enamored of Zodiac selling, as usual with Ed Leslie, but both guys, Savage especially, did interact well with the crowd to the extent that they got to.
Yeah.
And while the ending was sudden, I liked it in concept, a missed dive countered by a hit dive. Kudos to both wrestlers here for not getting totally thrown off by the intrusion, and absolutely massive praise to Randy Anderson for throwing himself into potential danger to protect both wrestlers until security could get there.
Mhm.
I'm very thankful that this didn't become something much more serious.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
We cut backstage to Gene Okerlund, who advertises the WCW hotline, 1-900-909-9900. He says he'll be discussing overhearing Jimmy Hart talking to someone he used to represent at another wrestling federation. Speaking of hot news, he brings in an elated Johnny B. Bad.
Speaking of hot news, as you know, we have a brand new world television champion, a happy man here in the locker room. I think I heard a couple of corks popping for you, Johnny B. Bad.
There's going to be a celebration in the Motor City. Gene, I've been telling everybody, I promised the fans, and I promised myself most of all the trials and tribulations, all the adversity. I tell these kids, if you believe, you can achieve. And ever since I was a young boy, I dreamed of the day I'd be wearing the gold. And today, I'm here to tell you, and all those fans, dreams do come true. This is reality, the world television title. Diamond Dallas Page gave me everything. I took it all, Gene.
You know, Diamond Dallas Page actually did not help his cause with the presence of this Max Muscle. And I must say, you're a tremendous technician because you capitalized on some of the mental mistakes they made.
Well, Gene, that comes from my intestinal fortitude. I never gave up, Gene. That's why I'm in the greatest professional sport in the world, World Championship Wrestling. I'm never going to quit. I'm never going to give up. I promise I'll always give 100%. I'm going to keep this beautiful belt. I'm a bad man.
Johnny B. Bad, don't run away. I want you to come on in here. You and I are going to go down to Greek Town tonight, and maybe I can help you.
I'm buying you dinner tonight, Gene.
No, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. In honor of your Tutti Frutti, I'm going to sing Tutti Frutti in the key of C down at Pegasus tonight.
I'd like to hear that, Gene.
Okay.
You know I got a front row seat for that one.
All right, we'll have a little Greek food, a little moussaka, perhaps some gyros, and some good times. Johnny B. Bad is absolutely delighted because, once again, he is the World Television Champion here at World Championship Wrestling. All right, Tony, Bobby, gentlemen, back to you.
Perfectly good, elated face promo from Bad here. He is enthusiastic, energetic, and visibly cheerful. He throws in a little compliment to his opponent's efforts, too. It's not a perfect promo. He has a couple of verbal stumbles, and I'm pretty sure he says, if you bereave, you can achieve.
Sure.
And I'm not sure what intestinal fortitude has to do with tactics, but overall, this was a fun and feel-good promo. The ending is all kinds of awkward.
Yes, thank you.
I think Bad had ended it perfectly well.
Yeah.
And then Gene just kind of like called him back in to make one more joke that I guess occurred to him.
Yeah.
Bad handled it fine and he finished fine for a second time, but it was a weird bit. I'm wondering if like maybe Bad had left early and they needed to occupy a little bit more time or something. It felt like it would have been a stronger promo for him to just head off and wrap the segment where he clearly intended to. Nothing major needed him to still be on camera there.
Gene could have just said, we're going to go out partying. He's going to say all this stuff and say it to the audience if he still needs to fill the time.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to have Bad there when he says it.
Yeah, and he's throwing to Tony and Bobby Heenan. So it's not like they can't stall for time themselves. So it's a weird moment.
For sure, yeah. And just the middle part where he starts to get a little more serious and he's a little winded. Especially because he talks about intestinal fortitude. Thinking, I'm getting a lot of Mick Foley out of that promo.
Yeah.
Like sort of Mankind or Cactus Jack even.
Yeah, I can see that when Foley gets really into a promo. Yeah.
The bit with Gene reminded me is that I'm not a huge Seinfeld fan, but I remember there's a thing from Seinfeld where George Winston always leave like on a good line. Like he would take a joke and just leave. And he does that at work a bunch of times until he makes a big joke, but then he has to stay in the meeting. That's kind of what that felt like. He's like, I'm ready to go. Oh, I gotta hang out some more. Okay. I was all ready to go, but okay.
I don't know if Gene had been specifically told to get that line in there or if it just occurred to him and he just was like, oh, I'll do that. But it was a weird, awkward end to the promo. And it's one of several like awkward bits in promos tonight. So
yeah, there's an odd energy to the show for sure.
Tony praises Bad and says that we got to see the man behind the punch there. Heenan says that Okerlund singing in a restaurant will help the business of all the other restaurants, as Okerlund singing will drive the customers away. Tony builds up the monster truck match some more, but says the next match is a revenge match. Heenan interrupts to ask if the monster trucks are stick shift or automatic, and Tony gives an incredulous look and answers that he's sure that they're shift. And Heenan says he was just asking. Tony again intros the revenge match and recaps Hawk suffering an arm injury at the hands of Kurosawa on an earlier show, as Heenan mimes an injured arm and smiles. Tony throws to footage of Kurosawa wrenching on Hawk's arm after a tag team match, in which Hawk teamed with his Scorpa Hawk's buddy, Sting.
Mm-hmm.
The past Heenan, in the video footage, says Hawk's arm might be broken there. The gravitas is slightly undercut by the wonderfully ridiculous man called Sting still playing.
Oh, yeah.
So our third match is Kurosawa with Colonel Robert Parker versus Road Warrior Hawk. The referee for this match is Nick Patrick.
They had a tag team match at a previous Class of Champions show. Afterwards, Kurosawa attacked him and injured the arm. Hawk legit had an arm issue to deal with. I think it was with elbow. So they give him a fake injury so he can then be off television to explain it.
Gotcha.
Other than, I think, working house shows pretty recently, he's been off T. So this is a big deal that he's coming back now. Also note that we are in the time frame where Animal is out, which we thought would have been a career-ending injury a couple years back. So he's not. That's why it's just Robert Hawk sort of by himself.
Gotcha. Kurosawa comes to the ring with cool red lighting, accompanied by Parker. Kurosawa actually showed up earlier this same series, under his actual name, Manabu Nakanishi, watching Masahiro Chono's match against Rick Rude at Halloween Havoc 1992.
Oh yeah, that's right.
A former amateur wrestler who had wrestled at the 1992 Olympics, he was reportedly only 12 days into his pro career at the time that he appeared at Halloween Havoc 1992. Much later, he would be in a tag team with the absolutely brilliant name of Muscle Orchestra.
Nice.
Because Japan is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
He also hosted Nakanishi Land, a variety television show which even had its own period drama spin-off starring pro wrestlers.
Gotta find that.
Yeah, oh my gosh. If we can find that, that definitely does have to be a future episode because that sounds amazing.
I will say there's one tag team with him I really did wish happened. If you recall from back when we would do our New Japan Super shows, there was a wrestler whose name was literally just Akira in all caps.
Yes.
If they never had Akira and Kurosawa team up together, film nerds would be really disappointed if that never happened.
That would be perfect.
I mean, come on. That's an option you cannot possibly miss.
Yeah. Kurosawa has a cool-looking sleeveless jacket and yells Kurosawa Ichiban on his way to the ring. Hawk is out next with his cool spikes, as always, with blue and purple lighting. Tony notes that the spikes do a pretty good job of protecting him from attacks from behind pre-match. Maybe Zodiac should wear some too.
Yes.
Hawk beats the crap out of Kurosawa with a flying shoulder block, a neck breaker Kurosawa at first doesn't seem quite sure how to take properly, and hard strikes, but Kurosawa goes for the arm, and Hawk quickly shoves him away and resumes the beatdown, including a gut wrench slam and a powerbomb. Parker distracts him so that Kurosawa can slam Hawk, but Hawk dodges a top rope elbow drop and clotheslines Kurosawa out of the ring, then diving clotheslines Parker. Kurosawa shoves Hawk into the ring post, rolls him in, and hits a couple Samoan drop kind of moves, then pins with his foot on the ropes and help from Parker for the 3 count and the win. Kurosawa quickly retreats with Parker as Hawk paces angrily in the ring. Kurosawa celebrates outside with Parker and yells Banzai and Ichiban a lot. He's briefly thrown when a fan bounces some garbage off his chest, but recovers after a moment and keeps on with the celebration. In the ring, Hawk poses for the fans anyway. Tony says that without Parker at ringside, that would have been a much different match. Thoughts on this one?
This match had a really odd feel to me. It's a match that feels like a squash match that was lost by the star.
Yes. That is exactly the way I felt about it. This feels
Okay, good.
completely like Hawk beating up a jobber, except the jobber wins, but it's not then treated by the announcers as the jobber winning.
Yeah. He is 90% of the offense and controlled 90% of the match. Gets hit by 2 moves and pinned in a cheeky sort of fashion with outside interference, and then immediately no-sells the entire thing.
Yes.
Granted, it's Hawk. No-selling is kind of his thing.
That's fair enough, yeah.
Someone joked that like if they had a match with Road Warrior Hawk and Undertaker, it would never end because they would constantly just keep sitting up.
Yes.
It would go on to this very day. No one would stay down for a 3. Yeah, it's just so weird. Yeah, Hawk beats the sake out of his opponent and then loses kind of randomly. And then that's it.
Yeah, the action wasn't bad at all, but the booking of this was really strange. It's basically a squash match with Hawk fighting a jobber, except that Hawk just suddenly loses at the end. Credit on positioning for that ending, at least. Patrick did a good job of putting himself where he couldn't see the blatant cheating going on, and making it look like it was because he needed to check that Hawk's shoulders were down. What we got to see of Kurosawa's offense was pretty cool, but we got to see like 2 or 3 moves.
Yeah.
The rest was just Hawk beating the crap out of him, and yeah, Hawk beating the crap out of people is fun, but this feels like it was intended to maybe build up a new performer a bit, and it didn't.
That's true.
Kurosawa did look explosively powerful when he finally got to land some moves, but this could definitely have been more of a showcase for him. That said, everything was capably performed, there was good emotion, and it could carry on the story with Kurosawa having denied Hawk his vengeance. Not bad, but not great.
It has a weird feeling of like time management in this show early on because we have the Savage Zodiac match, which is super short. Then we have this match, which feels very, very short. But then we were talking about before, it feels like them prolonging the interview segment with Johnny B. Bad.
Mm-hmm.
So what's going on? It's very confusing.
Yeah. And admittedly, it feels like with the things that we're going to see later in the show, the late show needs a lot of time.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I could see there being like some like fiddliness with the amount of time that the early stuff gets. But yeah, it definitely feels like, wow, there's a lot of stuff that gets very rushed here.
So if you're looking forward to the revenge match, between Kurosawa and Hawk, it never happens.
Kind of figured.
At least not in America. They have obviously a lot of interaction in Japan, both working to Japan at various points, so maybe it happened there. It's interesting. So Kurosawa was in the company fairly briefly, about a year or so, as part of the talent exchange program they would do with New Japan and other companies like that. He would go on after this to lose pretty much every notable match he'd have in WCW following this show. I was looking through his match in the cage match, but a good way to put this in perspective. So back in September, when they're building him up as a big threat before this show, versus October, he beats up Sergeant Craig Pittman on television. Well, cut to March 1996, he's losing to Sergeant Craig Pittman on television. So, fortune maybe not going that well for him. He does, of course, get to be in the World War III match because they need everyone with the pulse in that match.
Pretty much, yeah. Got 60 guys, literally anyone backstage is going to be like, get out there.
Exactly. As for Hawk, he would rebound by bringing his Road Warrior partner Animal back in January. Reverse the curse.
Yes. Something good happens in January for once.
Exactly.
We cut backstage to Mean Gene, who brings in Randy Savage.
All right, Tony and Bobby, I've got a man that is pacing the floor. He won his match earlier over Zodiac from the Dungeon of Doom. Now, if Lex Luger happens to win his match a little bit later on against Ming, the face of terror from the Dungeon of Doom, that means that Luger and the Macho Man, Randy Savage, will indeed be meeting here at Halloween Havoc, and certainly that stimulates your interest in that Luger-Ming match.
One down, one to go. And you know what? I beat the Zodiac, yeah. And we had even a little audience participation, yeah, because I'm wild, yeah. And I'm going to tell you something, Hulk Hogan. I heard what you said about me a few days ago, yeah. And I don't think that you can separate business from friendship. I'm your friend. But if I ever see you in the ring, I can beat you, don't you know? Yeah.
Randy Savage, I know
your mustache is crooked.
Your beard is a little sideways, too, but I don't want to get into that.
That's
I'm not
right.
going to take personal pot shots at you or anybody else. That's not my nature.
Get in line, everybody's
I'm a little better
me.
guy than that. I don't mind telling you.
Cool.
I'm a bigger man.
Cool.
Well, how did we get into this?
That's okay, man.
Very curious.
I'm going to take Lex Luger because I know he's going to beat Ming because I'm going to make sure he does.
Can we just get away from the subject of the Luger potential Randy Savage match? I want to ask you one other question because everywhere I go, people are talking about these two monster trucks that are going to be colliding here a little bit later on. The Giant in the Dungeon of Doom truck and your good friend Hulk Hogan in the Hulkster's monster truck.
My curiosity is killing me just like a cat would be killed by the curiosity, yeah, because of the fact machine versus machine and man versus man doubled and tripled by the exposure of the WCW Heavyweight Championship belt. Don't you think I have a little bit of interest right there?
I think
friendships, business is business. Hulk Hogan already drew the line in the sand. I'm just following it up, yeah.
All right, we're going to be watching very
I'm
closely.
Be a participant, and I'm going to be watching too through the video scope, yeah.
Thank you, the Macho Man Randy Savage. He is one of a kind. Let's get you back inside Joe Louis into the ring.
I feel like Gene probably busted a gut laughing roughly half a second after the cut there.
Yes, for sure.
This was wonderfully bonkers, with Savage somehow managing to make coherent points about the current storylines while simultaneously arguing about Gene's mustache, delivering lines like, "My curiosity is killing me just like a cat would be killed by the curiosity," and "through the video scope," and moving around like he just drank about 100 cups of coffee.
Yeah.
He looks at random places. He stares at the back wall at one point for no reason. It's utterly hilarious.
Yes, absolutely.
I particularly love Savage's reaction to Gene's pushback, where he actually seems momentarily stunned by Gene's tirade.
Yeah.
It's a bizarre but fun moment between them there.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea what made him belt out that line about Gene's mustache mid-promo, but it definitely made this memorable. Loved it.
Yeah. Savage is interesting in a lot of ways because he created this sort of manic, crazy character. I mean, dude, Savage, obviously. And there's definitely points throughout his career that it's not clear where the line is with him as far as sanity. And I'm not sure he necessarily knew where the line was with him and sanity. He would just do crazy things and it'd either make sense over the time or be very performative, but it always feel natural because he's just insane. It's one of those shows, it's always a question of like, there's a line you hear somewhere, like a crazy line in a promo or something. You're like, what show is that from?
Uh-huh.
Well, the "Your Mustache is Crooked" line is from Halloween Havoc 1995, in case you were wondering.
Yep.
In a bizarre promo where he's both happy about winning a match, upset about a match coming up, excited about a match with Hogan and the Giant, which he's participating in, then also watching from behind the video scope.
From through the video scope.
Oh, excuse me, through the, yeah. I can't remember if that was a WWF thing, video scope, or if that was like, might be like a Dusty Rhodes thing.
I don't know, yeah.
Because I could see, remember, there's a period, there's like, what, two years or so, roughly, where he's working as an announcer and doing all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see him being around promos where they talk about the video scope, for instance. And it just somehow just lodged in like the back right corner of his brain. So when he needs to think of what he's watching through, it's just echo coming back. Video scope.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, the video scope.
Yep. That was a good one.
Thank you. I work on my Savage voice. The key is to elongate your words, yeah. Yeah. Honestly, when I'm rewatching this show, I'm generally not thinking about match on MVP yet, especially 3 matches in, match night especially, but with this insane Savage promo, you're like, wow, you're shortlist for MVP immediately with this.
Mm-hmm.
Of all the terrible things that you will see on this show, or underwhelming things that happen in this show, this crazy line where he just suddenly verbally berates me directly because he's mad about something. It stood the test of time for 30 plus years now. Credit where credit's due. I just hope random things I say will somehow still be memorable by random people across the world over a decade after I'm not even around anymore. You know, that's the dream, right?
Yes, fair enough, yeah.
Be the cream of the crop.
So our fourth match is JL versus Sabu with The Sheik. The referee for this one is Randy Anderson.
So to get to the story, we have to go back to a different company. Back in 1995, Sabu, most famous for working at ECW, was working there as well as taking bookings from New Japan Pro Wrestling, mostly because they paid better. He was booked for a series of shows in New Japan, and the story that's gone around, he's talked about it. Supposedly he's being paid $1,200 for the event, which is pretty good, especially back then, just for inflation. But while he's getting ready to leave, Paul Heyman's like, hey, actually, I need you to work a ECW taping. He's like, okay, well, how much you paying me? Paul Heyman goes, $500.
Ooh.
Yeah. So he worked New Japan. Heyman took that so well. In fact, he decided to use his on-air voice as the sort of announcer boss character to publicly fire Sabu and say all sorts of bad things about him for daring to go somewhere that paid him more reliably and better. That meant he was free to work somewhere else, and he was hired by WCW. He's often considered the first of the real proper ECW poachings, of which there'll be many, many, many more throughout the next several years.
Jeez.
Meanwhile, a journeyman wrestler known as Jerry Lynn, aka Mr. JL, was hired back in September. The two actually had a match on the October 9th Nitro, which was won by Sabu. A little thing I found kind of interesting, I watched the Go Home Nitro for this as part of preparation. On the Go Home Nitro, they have a tag team match where it is Mr. JL and Eddie Guerrero teaming against Dean Malenko and Chris Benoit. So in 1995, it's just, hey, it's a really good TV match. Obviously, in 2026, you're like, wait, Eddie, Benoit, Malenko, and Jerry Lynn? Wow, okay.
Yeah, that's pretty major.
Absolutely. Yeah, so that's basically the whole story is that they fought before, and they're just, guys that wrestle. There's no big personal beef here.
Okay. Heenan quips that Gene's mustache is sold with a nose and glasses, too, and Tony asks if those will be in stores for Christmas. JL is out first. That would, as Al noted, be ECW stalwart and one-time performer on the AWA Team Challenge Series pilot, Jerry Lynn, here in a purple bodysuit and luchador mask, with a cape. Tony and Heenan talk up his abilities, but Heenan theorizes that JL stands for Jerk at Lunch, or Just a Loser. JL doffs his cape. Sabu is out next, accompanied by the original Sheik, who has a sword, which I hope he doesn't use like Paul Heyman uses his cell phone in matches where this could get ugly fast. Sabu slides into the ring and attacks, but JL knocks him out of the ring with an enziguri. Sabu flings him into the barricade and hits a second rope moonsault onto JL and Sheik, who had wandered over. Tony, perhaps confused because Sheik got hit, claims the moonsault caught both Sabu and Sheik.
Technically correct.
After a fashion, yes.
Yeah.
JL later ducks a Sabu springboard off the steps, and Sabu splats, so JL jumps off the top rope onto Sabu outside. I'm just going to start calling him Lynn.
Yeah, sure.
Back in, Lynn throws Sabu up onto the turnbuckle, and Sabu moonsaults off, but Lynn dodges and hits his own moonsault to Sabu for 2, despite Sabu having plenty of time to dodge. 2 counts off a Lynn powerbomb, Sabu rope flip senton, Lynn German suplex off the ropes, and Sabu top rope victory roll. With Sabu up top, Lynn hits a triangle dropkick to knock him to the floor. Sabu shoulder blocks Lynn through the ropes, snaps his neck across them, and hits a seated springboard moonsault for the 3 count and the win. Immediately afterwards, Sheik blows a fireball into Lynn's face just because.
Yep.
The camera, focused on Sabu because he, won the match, only catches part of it. Maybe wait 3 or 4 seconds or cue somebody, Sheik? Sabu celebrates and tries to go after Lynn again, but Anderson dissuades him, and he leaves as we get replays of the victory roll and the final seated moonsault. Heenan says not to try that at home on the ironing board. The replay there is also one of the clearer shots that we get of the Hogan guy from last year in the crowd again.
Oh, yeah.
Thoughts on this one?
It's a pretty fun bit of chaos. I mean, it's Sabu, so you kind of expect certain things. Now, bear in mind, this is the WCW version of Sabu, so it's a bit neutered, so you're not, thankfully, not having him, fling chairs at people's faces or do his double jump moonsaults and all these kind of things. So it's like, 60% Sabu performance as far as what he's allowed to do. Apparently, his uncle, the Sheik, decided to raise that a bit by throwing a fireball, just because. By all accounts, by the way, the Sheik did not take that landing very well. Some reports say he was just sort of shook up. Others say he broke his leg.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I can picture it. Like, it's not necessarily the fact that Sabu hit him. It's that, he's wandering over for seemingly no reason. I don't know what he was doing. So I can see, like, if you're walking and you're not, like, stopped and you're braced to catch somebody, you could easily plant your leg wrong or something could land on. There's a lot of ways that could go wrong.
And it's not like it's not obvious what's about to happen there, right?
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. So much happened in this match, and even in a short runtime, all these flips and dives and landings. But yet the Sheik takes the real focus of the match away by the 2 spots, neither of which were planned. The only thing I noticed that is interesting is that Sabu's form on like the final moonsault he wins with is good, but he makes like 0 impact on Lynn. You notice that?
Mm-hmm.
He is a really lovely form, and it's safe, obviously, but he basically takes all the impact on his legs and kind of just sits lightly on top of the guy. So it's funny with like so much impact and craziness in this match, the least impactful move wins it.
That's true.
That's a little crazy.
Yeah, I thought this was pretty fun as something a bit different for the show with a lot of big aerial moves and stunts. I would call it more of a stunt show than an actual match, though. It doesn't really build to any of the moves. It's not like they're just walking into position for the next bit. They do set it up as a fight. It's just that they go immediately from high-risk move to high-risk move. Normally, you'd take a little bit more time to establish them, but there's next to no time spent letting a move breathe for a moment before going to the next big jump.
Yeah.
It's a similar thing that we see in WCW 2000 with a lot of ladder matches and things like that. Each move is cool, but they blur together. If they added a few less flippy moves in there as bridges, I think this would have more impact or a sense of strategy and story to it. That's not all on the wrestlers, of course. This did only get about 3 minutes, and there's only so much you can do in 3 minutes.
Yeah. So one thing I can definitely see, like, oh, we should have a couple of spots like an arm bar or some sort of thing to bridge these moves together to make it more of a match structure. But then I can see it in the back going, we have 3.5 minutes. Wait, you want to spend a minute, working an arm hold? That seems weird.
Yeah, I think there's a balance there, and I don't think they found it.
No.
But I understand why it was a challenge.
Yeah. Again, time management in the show is weird.
Yep, there you go. Still, the actual moves were really impressive, stuff that had not yet been regularly seen in WCW, and it works as a way of breaking up the usual WCW action and providing something with a different flavor. So, not bad.
Mm-hmm. I did like that the announcers built up the Sheik as well, so explaining that, he original Sheik, he was a real big-time draw in this area, so it absolutely makes sense to have him there.
Absolutely, yeah.
Talk about him and Bobo Brazil like wrestling for like 20 odd years, fighting each other in this territory. You almost wonder, as much as you want to hope WWE wants to promote talent and put matches on. You almost wonder if they got their spot on the show because the Sheik was there.
At the very least, I'm sure it didn't hurt. Let's put it that way.
Yeah,
we can bring on this guy that's a big famous figure from the past because he's my uncle. So
exactly, yeah. On the very next Nitro, you get a match between Sabu and, of all people, Disco Inferno.
The most hardcore of wrestlers.
I know, right? As part of that match, Sabu would bring a table and try to use it to slam Disco Inferno through. He's going to set him on the table and dive at him. Apparently, he was told backstage, do not use a table in this match because we have standards or practices with TBS that doesn't like this kind of stuff. And, if you were Sting or Hogan, we'll make an exception for you, work a way to do this. But, you're Sabu. We're not going to make an exception for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they fired him.
Okay.
So, yeah, if you're looking forward to a long Sabu run in WCW, you did not get it, unfortunately. He ended up working less than a dozen matches with the company. As for Mr. JL/Jerry Lynn, he would hang around for quite a while in WCW, but this is pretty much the most high-profile thing he did.
Unfortunately, because Jerry Lynn is a very, very good wrestler.
Yeah.
And had quite a lengthy career. I remember both of us being surprised when he showed up on the AWA show.
Yeah.
And just like, oh, wait, that's actually Jerry Lynn, okay? It's surprising that they didn't manage to do something with him, but, he's one of a large number of people that WCW didn't manage to do things with, so.
Yepper. Oh, boy. I know it's next for my show notes.
Yep. Tony covers the Giant's history in WCW and his alignment with the Dungeon of Doom. Heenan says that Hogan knows nothing about the Giant, but the Giant knows everything about Hogan, having watched Hogan since Giant was a kid. They're still doing the Giant is Andre's kid angle here, but at least they do use it well as a reason that Giant is intimately familiar with everything Hogan does. It's still a questionable angle in its use of a recently dead wrestler, but the basic story concept there is good.
Incidentally, Hulk Hogan at this point has been a very famous wrestler on television for 12 years, if my math is correct.
Yeah.
Did he need to be Andre's son to watch him on television?
I'm just figuring like maybe that means he like knows training sessions and stuff too.
Yeah, I know. I get what you're saying. I'm just saying, of all the people you need to have some sort of inside information on to know about them, Hogan is not that guy.
That's fair. Yeah.
But no, yeah, it's a better use of the terrible story than, the video where he threw his father's shirt at him. I was like, oh, come on, don't do that. But because, yeah, he had just died like 2 years earlier.
Yeah, in 1993, I think he passes away, and it's only 1995. It's not been very long.
Yeah, exactly.
Tony throws to the Taskmaster's lair, which turns out to be the Halloween Havoc entrance ramp.
Yes.
So the Dungeon of Doom has just been the Joe Louis Arena all along?
Yeah, guess so.
Taskmaster Kevin Sullivan is there, alongside the Master, who is chilling in his absolutely gigantic stone throne.
Mm-hmm.
Get ready, folks.
Oh, yeah.
Solomon, my son! The moon is full over Detroit, Michigan. The stars, Solomon, are lined up, and the great Milky Way is ready for you, my son. In Tokyo, Japan, in Peking, China, it's the start of another day. They say, Solomon, my son, that there will be a total eclipse of the sun today around the world. Because, Solomon, we are here, right here now. And tonight, you will walk upon the galaxies because you're giant and the insurance of the Yeti, you will destroy Hulkamania around the globe.
Hogan, in Detroit, we brought the insurance policy. It is written from the bones of Benares. A giant shall lead us through the next century. Hogan, when you put on the black, the evil that lies inside of you is now out of control. The monster truck, there's nothing you can do about that when it's tinged on. The Dungeon of Doom truck's the strongest of them all. And Hogan, you don't have a friend in the universe. Sting, Luger, and Savage are all vultures clicking at your heels. Tonight, Hulk Hogan, Detroit lightning does not strike twice in this universe.
This was stupid.
Yeah.
And magical.
Uh-huh.
And dumb.
Yes.
And brilliant.
Uh-huh.
And awkward.
Mm-hmm.
And wonderful.
Yeah.
In essence, that's the Dungeon of Doom angle.
Yeah.
Let's just wheel a big stone throne out and plop a big guy on it dressed like a caveman wizard and paint mystic-ish symbols on Sullivan's head, but otherwise have him wear normal wrestling gear, and then have the two of them, especially the Master, bellow at the top of their lungs about magic signs, importance, and also Hulkamania and monster trucks. None of this fits together. At all. Objectively, the Dungeon of Doom angle in general, and this promo in particular, are gobsmackingly terrible. But they are so much fun.
Yeah.
The only thing that would make this better is for the guys from Riff Tracks to get a hold of it and absolutely go to town on it.
Oh, yeah.
Special kudos to Kevin Sullivan here for, with supreme effort of will, I'm sure, managing to just about keep a straight face while the Master was bellowing nonsense in his ear. It was clearly a struggle.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly, I don't know how either of these guys got through that segment without breaking. I imagine that Tony and Heenan had to mute their microphones not to laugh the whole way through.
But By the way, I don't even you notice this. I watched this from a couple of times for my own enjoyment and to show the people.
Yes.
Did you catch Sullivan prompting the master when to start?
I did not know.
So he's sitting next to him, and you see he kind of just lightly taps his arm. Because the camera pans over, they're just sort of staring straight ahead. The slight tap, and he goes, man! It goes from 0 to 80.
Nice. I did not catch that, no.
Loud noises. Eclipses. My son. What a silly bunch of bollocks. It's the right word for the Dungeon of Doom in general. The thing with the Master is a combination of the weird, like, I assume mostly styrofoam thing they wheeled him out in, and the weird, like, body paint on him. It's hard in wide shots to tell where his body ends and the chair begins.
That's true, yes.
They're called as all kind of one big mass, but they put, like, some sort of toupee on him to look like stone, and he stood still, and then just, like, moved suddenly. It'd be like those videos where someone's like a statue and just pops out and scares people, and they walk by. It would work so well.
He'd be good at that, too, but that was super loud voice.
Absolutely.
Good gosh, can you picture, like, you walk into a hotel lobby or something, and there's this stone statue-looking thing in a chair, and then it just belts out, Solomon, my son!
I'd Rikishi sideways spin bump off of that.
Yes.
Just him shouting. Like, the hell?
Yeah, that does seem like it would have that much of a sonic boom coming off of it.
Yes. What's interesting about this is that the Master's promo, and typically the decibel in which he delivers it, is so over the top that Sullivan's insanity almost seems normal by comparison.
Yes, true.
This giant, like, rock man, the rock biter from Neverending Story, is suddenly talking about moons and Tokyo and eclipses. And then this guy with I'm never clear what his accent is supposed to be. Sometimes it sounds Boston, sometimes it doesn't. I never understood Kevin Sullivan in a lot of ways, but his accent especially always befuddles me. To this day, I still don't know where he's supposed to be from or where he's actually from, but the way he talks. But his promo is full of nonsense.
Oh, yeah.
And he's got a Nessie painted going 2 directions on his forehead. He's dressed in, like, weird Flash cosplay tights, but yet, next to the screaming, shouting man, he seems so normal until he talks, and you're like, okay, never mind, you're insane too.
Yes. Yeah, it's easy to miss just how nuts what Kevin Sullivan is saying is, but he actually, if you look at them, he has the more clashing promo.
Uh-huh.
Like, the Master's promo is just all weird mystic BS. Sullivan is the one that says mystic BS and then follows it up with talking about a monster truck. And you're just like, what?
Yeah.
It is written from the bones of Anaris, a giant shall lead us through the next century. He does at least have a break to talk about Hogan and Evil, and then the monster truck, there's nothing you can do about that. And you're like, how does this relate?
Yeah.
Like, one ring to find them, and in the darkness bind them, and then, Frodo, you'll need to have this hot rod to race in NASCAR.
Yeah, mixing, like, Lord of the Rings and Fast and Furious dialogue together.
Yes.
Some sort of AI filter, yeah.
Oh my gosh. And yeah, just watching Sullivan's face there for that first half of the promo, it just him visibly trying so hard not to laugh.
I showed my dad this promo because I had to show them.
Yeah.
And it's like his first comment is, that guy been so hard not to laugh the entire time. I'm like, yes, that is correct. Titanic clash of wills of there.
I think the only thing that probably saves him there is that he is responsible in large part for this angle, so he probably knew what was coming.
Yes, yeah.
But still, it's one thing to script it, and it's another thing to have a giant man dressed as a caveman wizard bellowing directly in your ear.
Yes. Every time I hear the crazy Master promo, I think of this weird bit Will Ferrell used to do on SNL where he explains that he's a guy sort of in voice modulation, so he can't control the tone or volume of his voice. So he's just talking goes up and down throughout. he explains that, it's a very serious medical condition. Tens of people across the country suffer from it. Well, at proof, we found one of them right here.
Yep, there you go.
Just Curtis Ayakea, the Master. I will give one small, I don't know if it's intentional, but one small positive bit of praise. There's an interesting sort of bit, if you look at Sullivan, try not to think of the insanity that's being shouted at him. He kind of like a split purple and green lighting on him. Could be 100% accidental, like where he's standing and the lights change over, but if it's intentional, it's kind of a cool visual.
Yeah.
He split down the middle like that, yeah.
The dungeon concept is dumb, but the presentation of the dungeon is actually not generally that bad.
Yeah.
I've said this before, but I really feel like the Dungeon of Doom in a lot of ways is a precursor to the NWO and like a lot of the things that they do.
Yeah.
They'll do things like the backstage assaults, the taking over the show they do a couple times, not like the full program, but they come out and take over like the announcer stage and just have this kind of like rebelling against the whole company kind of feel.
Always bring in new people as well.
And bring in new people. And case in point here, having their own completely unique promo style that often involves pre-recorded video presentations.
Yeah.
It's not the level of technical expertise that they use for the NWO or Elite stuff, but anytime the Dungeon of Doom shows up, it's a complete tonal shift in the show. And that is, again, something that will carry forward with the NWO, is that like anytime they show up, you have a complete tonal and presentation shift.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting thing with this quite cartoonish and weird gimmick that doesn't really get WCW a lot of success. And one of the greatest successes that WCW ever has.
Yeah. Here's a question for you. I know we haven't fully covered this show yet. We're not looking forward to it. Would you enjoy WCW Sold Out if it was a takeover by the Dungeon of Doom and not the WO?
100%. Yes.
Yeah, me too.
Look, it'd be stupid as all heck.
Oh, of course, yeah.
I mean, you know what I would be hoping for?
Mm-hmm.
The Master on commentary.
Of course, yeah, obviously. Yes, absolutely.
I think you and I could both discuss this segment all night, honestly.
Oh, I know.
But we do have to move on, unfortunately.
Yeah, right.
Tony brings up the insurance policy and recounts the Yeti that the Dungeon of Doom brought from the Himalayas breaking out of the ice on Nitro. The Yeti is here tonight. Heenan says he left Nitro before the ice exploded as he didn't want to be around it, but he heard that man, or creature, is huge. Yet another giant, Tony says. Just a reminder that in about half a year, Scott Hall is going to show up on Nitro and kick off the NWO angle.
Yeah.
Picture that.
Mm-hmm.
Picture how close in time this ridiculous, wonderful Saturday morning cartoon nonsense is to the start of the NWO.
Yeah, exactly.
Heenan says the Dungeon of Doom means business and that Taskmaster was frothing out there. Tony throws to Mean Gene. We cut to Gene, who is with Hogan, Jimmy Hart, and the owners of a motorcycle company and the winners of a motorcycle giveaway. Hogan is dressed in black in kind of a preview of his later NWO outfits.
Yeah.
And lacks his usual mustache.
I don't know if I should be talking, Tony, to my insurance agent or if I should try to get a hold of Kelvin Sullivan. I need an interpretation on what the master just happened to say. Now, joining me at this time, ladies and gentlemen, the winner of the WCW Harley-Davidson sweepstakes is Mike Hill from Coleman, Alabama. Congratulations. I'm also joined by Tony Carlini, also the lovely Doris Taylor, who is part of Carlini's California Connection, and the World Heavyweight Champion Hulk Hogan, along with Mike's fiancé. I should point that out for the record. And I understand you're going to make Hulk the official presentation.
Well, you know something, brother. Going into this Halloween Havoc, it was really important that I was on a roll, brother. And the fact that Maniac Mike won the Harley-Davidson, brother, just kind of gives me that little extra edge I need, brother, because he's already told me how he's getting it back to Alabama. You can ask him that later. It gives me that little extra edge to know that the Maniacs are on my side. And, you know, as I present Maniac Mike with the keys, brother, we got somebody called Cadillac Jack, Tony Carlini, in the back, brother. He's the best Harley-Davidson builder around, brother. He's blowing all those California boys away. He's got his first shop right here in Detroit, Michigan, brother. And I think if I bend Carlini's arm a little bit, Maniac Mike, he might have to put a little bit extra chrome on that thing. How about it, Cadillac Jack?
What about it, Tony?
I'm sure we can accommodate him. Doris Taylor, our manager here for the Detroit store.
All right, I'm going to get Doris up front and center here so we can see her smiling face. Doris, tell us what Carlini's has in store for our winner, Mike Hill.
Well, Mike, first I'd like to congratulate you on winning the Harley-Davidson. We've put together an apparel package for you here, some sweatshirts, T-shirts, and a hat. And also back at our store in Redford, we have an exhaust system, some Carlini paint savers, and a Carlini torque arm. We'd like to invite you back to the store to pick it up and take it back with you. Again, thank you.
All right,
Safe
terrific.
riding.
I could probably use an extra exhaust pipe. Hulk Hogan, I want to point out for the record that this Harley-Davidson, if I go back 6 or 7 weeks, means a great deal to you, and it may all culminate here tonight.
Well, you know something, brother. The little Hulkamaniacs gave me one just like that. And at the time I said, it'd be a beautiful thing if we gave one away to a Hulkamaniac so we could ride side by side, brother. So, I just want to touch the seat to remember how it felt, brother. And that's the last thing I'm going to touch lightly tonight, brother, because later on, man, just like Maniac Mike said, he's going to ride that sucker all the way back to Alabama. I'm going to ride that giant through the straddle of the night, brother. And when he starts huffing and puffing and running out of gas, I'm going to squash him just like he squashed my HD, brother.
All right, Doris, speaking of touching seats, are we have anything special here? I think I caught her on that one. That's a little inside problem.
I got Cadillac Jack and the highwaymen watching my back, brother. I ain't worried about nothing. You got that right?
I've got that. Yeah. Monster truck competition still to come here. I want you to stand by. Our winner once again from Coleman, Alabama is Mike Hill. Mike, congratulations to you. Now, how are you going to get this Harley from Detroit to Coleman, Alabama?
We're going to straddle it and ride that sucker all the way back home.
I love to hear that. How about that? We've got a big crowd on hand. Jimmy Hart, I want to thank you. Doris Taylor, and of course, Tony Carlin. Thanks a million for coming here. And the California Connection and WCW Heavyweight Champion Hulk Hogan. You still have got a lot of business to conduct yet here tonight.
Brother, first it's machine against machine. I'm going to push that giant right out of the circle, brother, and then I'm going to take him in the ring and lay him next to his father right here in Detroit, brother.
Thank you very much. Right now, let's bring you up to date on our next pay-per-view spectacular.
More references to the Andre angle aside, and quite aggressive ones on Hogan's part.
Yeah.
This was okay as a promo segment. Hogan and Gene did a decent job tying together the bike giveaway and the Giant versus Hogan story, referencing Giant's prior destruction of Hogan's own Harley as a means of making this a symbol that can give Hogan extra fighting spirit. It's silly, but a good effort there.
Yeah, I guess.
The giveaway portion is extremely disorganized at times, though.
Yes.
With Gene in particular seeming just overwhelmed by how many people he has to wrangle. Late in the promo, he seems to forget that the shop manager already did her part of the giveaway, so he calls her up again, and she just kind of like smiles awkwardly for a moment, and he seems a little thrown. Thankfully, Hogan quickly jumps in to redirect back to the match discussion there. I think that was a good save by Hogan.
Yeah.
It was a bit awkward, but it did tie into the show better than I was expecting.
Mm-hmm. Are we sure that, quote, Maniac Mike is not just Nick Patrick?
He does look like him a bit, doesn't he?
It looks like Nick Patrick's stunt double.
Yes.
It's so weird because it's like Nick Patrick is such a famous face on the show, and then the guy looks just like him.
If you dress this guy in a ref uniform, he could believably do a ref swap with Nick Patrick, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. It's crazy.
That's amazing.
Hogan just, in this promo, he does all sorts of weird nonsense. Okay, so the little Hulksters gave him the bike? Is that what he said?
Yeah. That is what he said.
Yeah, okay. So all the kids in the audience, pooled their money to buy, the guy paid him $3 million a year, a motorcycle. And then they're so disappointed when a different guy runs it over with the monster truck. So now Hogan gives a free bike to somebody else, and that makes the kids feel better, I guess.
Yeah, that sounds about like the logic, yeah.
Yeah. Also, there's a guy who runs a shop whose name is Tony.
Tony Carlini.
His name is Cadillac Jack.
Yep.
Why?
Don't know.
We have that. We got the Gene hitting on another lady on the same show, which is a little weird. Also, Hogan's ending line is wow.
Yes.
I mean, just wow.
There's inappropriate use of a wrestler's death, and then there's actively referencing the fact that the wrestler is dead in a disrespectful manner. And that's, yeah, I think Hogan is just doing Hogan and not trying to be disrespectful here, but
no,
it comes off really bad.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, your dad's dead. I'm going to murder you. It's basically what he says.
Basically, given future events on this show, that would definitely be looked at in a police investigation as intent. Let's put it that way.
That's true. Yes, exactly. So we have all these people. We have, Hogan. We got this guy who won a contest. People that run a bike shop. Meanwhile, oh yeah, Jimmy Hart's just standing here.
Yes.
Dead silent the entire time. I've never seen him so silent in any case.
Yeah, it's very, very strange that he doesn't get to say anything.
It's very strange, yeah.
I genuinely do wonder if he was meant to say something and that was just in this chaotic mess that Gene doesn't really manage well here. Turning to Jimmy got missed.
I mean, this is the same promo where Hogan talks about what a guy hasn't actually said yet.
Yes, true. Yeah, I forgot to bring that up.
He talks all about what this guy says he's going to do with the bike. Actually, he tees it up saying, you'll ask him later. Before he even asks him, he then referenced what the guy said.
Hogan can see the future, Al. That's the only possible answer.
He's Dr. Manhattan. He sees timeline simultaneously, I guess.
Oh, my gosh. We cut to a promo for WCW's World War III, which tells us basically nothing about the show, other than promoting it as the biggest battle royale in wrestling history. It does such a good job that Tony immediately has to actually build up the show, explaining that it features a 3-ring battle royale with 60 men, one giant in each ring for a title shot at the World Heavyweight Champion. Heenan, referring to the contest winner, says that the bike will look nice in his trailer park, parked on cement blocks and next to... And he pauses and makes gestures, unable to think of the right word, and Tony helpfully supplies swimming pool, with Heenan confirming he was thinking of one of those inflatable swimming pools. Heenan says Hogan should superglue himself to a chair so he doesn't have to go up on the roof, because it's going to happen soon. Tony makes hand gestures like Heenan did, smirking, and Heenan says he'd like to hit him. A rare instance of Tony getting one over on Heenan there.
Yeah.
So our fifth match is Meng with the Taskmaster, Kevin Sullivan, versus the Total Package, Lex Luger. The referee for this one is Nick Patrick. Meng comes out to quiet flute music, wearing a cape and cowl like he's a glittery Tongan Batman.
Yes, exactly. I was thinking that too.
He and Sullivan walk through a rain of thrown, rolled up paper and other garbage. Tony builds up the golden spike that Meng used to beat Luger before, and Heenan says that Meng doesn't even need anything to beat people, really, but adds that Luger has never looked better than he has tonight. And we get to judge for ourselves as Luger's out next to his terrific, catchy mid-1990s theme. Tony notes that the dungeon helped Luger win a match against one of its own members, Shark, on an earlier show, and people think that Luger may be in cahoots with the dungeon. Heenan agrees that they seem not to bother or put a hand on Luger in confrontations, and when they have a chance to interfere against him in a match, they refrain. As Sullivan watches stoically, Luger and Meng trade advantage, and Luger engages in some wonderful Luger selling. Meng gets the first 2 count with a small package. Heenan realizes that Meng is a dungeon member, but is fighting Luger, which confuses him if Luger is with the dungeon like the rumors say. Luger clotheslines Meng out, and Meng seems to argue with Sullivan. Meng and Luger fight outside, and Sullivan refrains from interfering. Heenan says you could throw Meng from the rooftop in a monster truck, and it wouldn't hurt him. Foreshadowing, I guess, albeit for a different dungeon member.
Yeah.
Back in, Meng slowly overwhelms Luger, and Luger tries to fire back with a scoop slam, but Meng falls on top for 2. Meng beats Luger up and wrenches his arm against the ropes, and Luger sells Patrick, breaking that up. 2 counts off a Meng piledriver. Luger and Meng crossbody collision with Luger landing on top, and Meng belly-to-back suplex. Meng throws Luger outside next to Sullivan, but Sullivan just leans in and speaks to Luger, and even visibly instructs Meng to stay in the ring and not attack Luger outside. Tony theorizes that what he's trying to do is convince Luger to join the dungeon. Back in, Luger struggles to fight back as Tony asks Heenan about a dinner that Heenan had with someone prior to the event, and Heenan says that was a businessman friend of his from Japan, but he's just working out a personal deal. It's nothing to do with WCW, which, of course, will be starting our build to Starrcade 1995. Luger counters a Meng suplex with his own, but Meng is up first. But Luger stuns Meng with a kick and repeatedly clotheslines him, building to a power slam. Luger signals for the torture rack, but Meng sneaks in a strike with his golden spike for 2, as Sullivan runs in and kicks Luger to break. Patrick rings the bell, awarding the match to Luger by disqualification. Luger is announced the winner due to an outside-the-ring disqualification, which makes it sound like it was illegal to go outside.
It does, yeah.
Tony mistakenly thinks Sullivan kicked Meng, but he incorrectly notes that Sullivan actually kicked Luger. Meng argues with Sullivan, who seems to signal something about 2 coming together and says Savage a few times, I guess explaining that he wants the match between Luger and Savage to happen.
Maybe.
Tony says Sullivan ensured the match would happen, but Heenan says Luger will have a disadvantage because of this long match. Thoughts on this one?
It's a pretty decent match. I mean, you kind of expect it with 2 guys with as much experience as these guys both have. Luger's been wrestling since, the mid-'80s? Ming's been wrestling about that long as well. They got all the basics down. I don't know, the match itself just wasn't that interesting to me. It's a lot of striking. It felt very prolonged.
Mm-hmm.
Again, time management in the show is a consistent factor. This match seems very stretched out. If this was a, let's say, between 5 and 8 minute match, it would be really good. You'd get the story across with less rest holds and other little various things in there. You could tell the story, do the setup, and still go, he wrestled Meng for almost 10 minutes. They always like to add up numbers in wrestling. And you still get the idea he's the weaker person because he wrestled much longer than Savage did.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a bad match. Like, they don't really mess anything up. It's just kind of drawn out. It doesn't really need to be. We have matches on the show that feel super rushed, and this match has just got all the time, apparently.
It kind of feels like you sometimes point out with time limit draws when they're done poorly, that it feels long for the sake of being long.
Yeah. They wrestle the match, no one can go 13 minutes, rather than wrestling a normal match and then just going 13 minutes. Yeah.
Right, yeah. Yeah, this was on the slow side. Not bad, but just deliberate, with long pauses between moves at times that make it somewhat longer than it really needs to be. It doesn't help the flow that the camera ends up pointing at Kevin Sullivan quite a lot during the match, especially when the storyline is about how Sullivan is not doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
It sets up the story quite well, to be fair, but it does mean that the camera is watching someone do nothing for surprisingly large amounts of the match.
Yeah.
That said, the two put on a perfectly fine big man match aside from the slow pace, and there's some quite nice power moves and strikes in there, with Meng in particular landing some really vicious kicks. As always, the Luger selling is a plus, and aside from one point where he just kind of sat there during a reverse chin lock, Luger did a good job of getting crowd sympathy and showing the wear the match was doing to him, and his fired up comeback is good, especially his high velocity clotheslines.
Mm-hmm.
The ending is really odd.
Yeah.
I get that Sullivan kicked Luger in the pinfall, specifically to make it Meng that got disqualified, I guess. But he was breaking up Meng's pin of Luger in the process. So if I'm the ref, that matters more, not who exactly he kicked to do it.
Yeah.
It's one of many slightly weird DQ rulings that we'll have tonight. I'm guessing the story here is that Sullivan got Luger's agreement and so ended the match. But if I'm Luger, I'm like, gee, thanks for the help. Couldn't you have done it before I got jabbed with the golden spike?
Yes, that's fair, yeah.
Other than the odd ending and the slowish pace, decent power match here that did get the crowd pretty involved.
Yeah, I enjoyed the intro. I like the build-up to him trying to take down Meng, building up how strong he is. And they said the fiery finish building up to the intentional stop of the match for the DQ is good. It's just the middle part I don't like.
Same for me. I think there's moves I appreciate during that middle portion, but there's too much pausing going on, too much slowness.
Yeah, absolutely.
We cut back to Gene, who is with the Giant, who is dressed in a WCW monster truck driver jumpsuit.
Mm-hmm.
Tony and Bobby, I've got to say some rather strange things are happening within the ranks of the Dungeon of Doom here tonight in Detroit, in the Motor City at Halloween Havoc. The big man next to me is, of course, the 7-foot, 4-inch, 400-pound plus Giant. Let me set the table, if I may, for tonight, Giant. Momentarily, we're going to see you and Hulk Hogan on top of the roof here at the adjacent Cobo Hall in your monster trucks in the machine versus machine competition. 3,000 horsepower between the two vehicles. I understand some 11 or 12,000 pounds. And certainly you've got to have some thoughts going into this one.
Well, my thoughts right now, me and Gene, are very simple. Number one, if Hogan has the courage to show up, if he finds the heart to meet me on the roof of Cobo Hall, when we hook up, grill against grill, truck against truck, machine against machine, in that 100-foot diameter, it's not going to be big enough. Because I'm going to push him right clean off the roof, and if there's anything left, right out here, Joe Louis Arena, Hulk Hogan is going to end up giving me the World Championship belt because I'm going to chokeslam him right to the floor. Do you understand me?
Look at that hand. You've got to be kidding me. Please, from now on, I'll hold the microphone, or you can hold it for that matter. Now, let's talk about something else. In the ring, as you alluded to, right here in front of a capacity crowd at Joe Louis Arena, WCW Heavyweight Champion Hulk Hogan putting the title on the line after the monster truck competition against you quickly, sir.
If he lives, I tell you one thing right now. Hogan is going to get the beating of his life. WCW Heavyweight Championship on the belt. Hogan, you're mine, and don't forget it. You understand me?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the Giant is going to be meeting Hulk Hogan 2 times yet tonight here at Halloween Havoc. Machine versus machine, man versus man. Hogan and the Giant, live from the Motor City. Let's get you back to the ring.
You almost said it.
Yep, you got very, very close. Let's get you back to the ring. I guess that would be a podcast about training as wrestlers.
Oh, yeah. Or a boxing one. It'd be for, like, retired boxers going to come back for one more fight, Rocky style.
That's a good idea, yeah. I continue to be amazed at how quickly Giant became fully comfortable in front of the camera delivering promos.
Mm-hmm.
As a reminder, he debuted as a pro wrestler less than a year prior to this in December 1994 and wasn't in WCW until May 1995.
Yeah.
To the best of my knowledge, tonight's match will be his second ever pro wrestling match.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be his first match in WCW, having debuted again in May 1995 at Slamboree. So he has been on camera, most memorably destroying Hogan's Harley-Davidson with his monster truck, as referenced earlier.
Yeah.
But still, this is very much a rookie wrestler, and he's pretty much nailing his character and intensity right off the bat.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem nervous at all.
No.
Not that this is perfect. WCW Heavyweight Championship on the belt?
Yeah.
But it's good. And not just good for a rookie wrestler, it's just solidly good. With Giant not just delivering on his character, but also interacting really well with Gene. WCW found a terrific performer here, and importantly, recognized what they had and let him shine.
Mm-hmm. I guess my only question is with the Giant's logic.
Mm-hmm.
He talks about the monster drug match, how he's going to kill Hogan. What's his plan if he does?
Drag the corpse to the ring and pin that, I guess?
Oh, okay. I guess that works. I mean, yeah, that's the answer.
Planning is easier when you have no moral fiber help.
Yeah, I guess so. But no, it's like, I really want to win the belt. But first, I want to beat him in a monster truck match and kill him. And then I guess they'll hand me the belt because I won a monster truck match?
I guess in theory, you could say that you'd be threatening enough that they'd just hand you the belt, I guess.
If anyone could pull that off, that would be him, yeah.
Yeah.
I also wonder, like, what size that jumpsuit he's wearing is.
Oh, good gosh.
Because he's so tall. He's a very lean Giant at this point, but still, gotta be pretty long legs and everything involved in that.
They had to get that custom made, I bet.
I bet, yeah. It's definitely a good promo by him. He doesn't quite go full ASMR Giant yet. When he gets to get more comfortable, he's willing to be more quiet and like talk seriously to the camera in his deep, scary voice. He still goes to his instinct, which is to shout, which does work for the most part, but it's little things like that you can pick up. You can tell as he gets more comfortable, he doesn't need to do that, or he does it once for effect. It's not, for lack of a better word, a crutch of, again, the promo, I gotta be real loud in the promo. Rah!
Yeah, I would say you definitely see the signs of him not being experienced, but you don't see the signs of like rookie nervousness that you'd expect to see, which is amazing. I mean, I've seen other promos where a wrestler with this little experience just, you point the camera at them and they just freeze up.
Yeah.
It's amazing how well he does.
Comparing this promo to the Good Lucha Thing promo by poor Kalisto that I always reference, miles apart. Poor guy. You just throw him out there. Hey, another promo. What? Also in your second language, by the way. Enjoy.
You picture this compared to stuff on NXT when it was more openly a training show.
Yeah, sure.
What is it? The Caval promo by, I forget who does that promo, but
Michael McGillicuddy, you think of.
Yeah, where McGillicuddy is just like rambling on on about this other wrestler's name.
Yeah.
Clearly has no idea where he's going with the promo.
From this very moment, this will be the moment.
That I was trying to think the other weird line in that. Thank you. That's good.
Yeah, it's the one, yeah. Or the other Giant they had on NXT where he was told to the off-the-cuff promo about mustaches and talks about how he wish he could grow a mustache, but then he talks about how he loves his mustache. Like within a span of a minute.
Wow.
This is a great example of what the engine really offers to them. because he's a good anchor for the promo.
Absolutely.
He covers the extra little bit where he's really selling like Giant squeezing his hand to hold the mic there. He just adds that little extra touch, sort of je ne sais quoi, as they say, to a lot of these promos. Sometimes it's the weirdness of, being mad at having mustache insulted by Savage or other things. But yeah, this is a great example of what having a real experienced backstage interviewer guy can do. You can help a guy like Giant really sort of focus the promo and really work to his strengths.
Yes. Gene here emphasizes the Giant's size.
Yes.
By having himself dragged upward by the Giant and making that look as painful and humiliating as he possibly can.
Yes.
In contrast to the Johnny B. Bad promo earlier, this is Gene doing a really, really good job with making this all about the wrestler and building up the wrestler in the best way he possibly can.
Absolutely, yeah.
Our sixth match is The Horsemen. That's the Enforcer, Arn Anderson, and Flying Brian Pillman, versus Sting and the Nature Boy, Ric Flair. The referee for this one is Randy Anderson.
A few months back, there'd be a falling out between the remaining members of the Horsemen, that being Arn and Flair, over various things, including trying to fight Vader and the world title and all these kind of things. They would feud for a couple of months, have a match at Fall Brawl, which I've heard a lot about. I must have seen it somewhere, I don't remember it. I'll definitely look forward to watching it when we go back to Fall Brawl, the series. To get an edge, Arn would then recruit Brian Pillman, who would begin his sort of loose cannon character. Things are so bad in following this that Flair, he was the only person he thinks he can trust because he's around people like, quite frankly, you can't trust and will do nefarious things to you, which is why he liked them in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
It's why he hung around Arn for, around 10 years before this. So he goes to Sting, his on again, off again, do that 12 more times, friend/enemy. Sting, of course, doesn't trust Flair after being betrayed about 16 times at this point. He initially doesn't want to team with them, and he finally agrees to it on the Go Home Nitro. They sort of build up them finally working together as a team. But he also makes it clear to Flair that if Flair betrays him, he will come at him and he will make him suffer. And of course, as part of the build of the show, we are told that Flair was attacked backstage, and they've been building up the idea that no one's seen him backstage. Heenan is selling like he's yelling at his off-screen assistant to keep giving him information.
Yes.
This poor guy is like Vern from the Jim Varney thing. You never see him, but all the things about him, he's a guy that's not treated well.
Yeah, so Tony's like, you got to treat him better. I'm pretty sure there's no one there whatsoever anyway.
Yeah. I really would love to see, like, if they filmed that and there really is just no one there. That'd be so great. So now we have a tag team match, but do we have two competitors on one side?
The Horsemen are out first to their amazing theme song, a terrific, moody, guitar-heavy piece.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's mostly Arn's theme at this point.
Yes.
Arn wears a plain black jacket, serious as always, and Pillman has glittery red. Tony notes that the two look cocky because they've already got the advantage having injured Flair before the show. Heenan asks how bad Flair is, and Tony says Flair's been receiving medical attention and as of last match was still with the doctor. Heenan says he needs psychiatric help. Flair and Sting are both announced as A Man Called Sting plays, but only Sting emerges in an awesome black jacket with flame motif in reds, oranges, and pinks.
Mm-hmm.
Sting looks angry coming out, but quickly turns on the smiles for the crowd and engages with the fans, pausing only to look back at the entrance once. As the bell rings, Arn visibly taunts Sting about being alone, motioning that Arn has a partner, and Sting nods but looks resolved to fight anyway. Heenan says he knows that if Flair could be here, he'd be here. Sting out-wrestles and overpowers Arn and Pillman individually. After initial confrontations don't go the Horseman's way, Pillman slaps Sting to lure him outside, but Sting dodges Pillman and Arn's ambush attacks and levels both with clotheslines, then gives them a look of pure disdain. Through it all, the crowd frequently chants, "We want Flair," which Sting encourages. Arn plays an invisible violin for them. Eventually, Arn pokes Sting's eyes and runs him into Pillman's head, stunning both Pillman and Sting. "That's using your head," Heenan quips.
Hi-oh.
Tony points out that's an Anderson family tactic used all the time by Gene and Ole in the past. The Horsemen start to wear Sting down, but the crowd, already loud, suddenly erupts as Ric Flair, dressed in street clothes and with his forehead bandaged, charges down the ramp and slides into the ring so fast that he loses a shoe in the process.
Yeah.
He lunges for Arn, who retreats as Randy Anderson repeats his earlier heroics in a fictional context this time, holding Flair back. Flair eventually goes to take his place at the corner as Sting's tag partner. Anderson retrieves his shoe for him, and he puts it on and struts, which I like to think is how he tries on shoes at the store.
I believe it.
What follows is several minutes of pure magic. As Arn and Pillman provide a lesson in heel tag team tactics 101, using teamwork and Anderson family tactics to control Sting and keep him from making a tag, and taking advantage of any intentional or inadvertent distractions to double team or get extra leverage on holds, Sting is gradually worn down and tries over and over again to reach Flair, getting tantalizingly close over and over again, but always interrupted by Arn or Pillman in the nick of time. Meanwhile, Flair cheers for Sting like mad, struts, swipes at the heels if they get close, Pillman especially, and runs in to break up holds or pinfalls occasionally, including smacking Arn with his shoe at one point, but I guess loafers aren't the deadly weapons high-heeled shoes are in WCW, so that's fine.
Yeah, perfectly logical, obviously.
Sting and Flair go into full 80s buddy cop movie mode, with Sting calling out to Flair and Flair encouraging him. Despite many attempts, Arn and Pillman can't manage to get a submission or 3 count. Late match, Sting staggers Arn with punches, but Arn counters a whip with his beautiful spinebuster for 2. The Horseman puts Sting in a variety of holds, and he cries out to Flair. "Nate!" Sting yells. "Stand tall! Stand tall!" Flair yells. "Nature boy!" Sting pleads. "I'm here, buddy! I'm here!" Flair calls back. It is ridiculous and over the top, and I love it.
Yes.
Eventually, Sting manages a double noggin knocker, staggers to Flair, and makes the tag. The crowd absolutely loses it.
Oh, yeah.
Flair springs into the ring and struts, and then he turns and punches Sting.
Yep.
The ref signals for the bell, and Flair, Arn, and Pillman all stomp Sting, who manages to get to his feet and kick Flair, driving him into the corner and raining down blows until he's dragged physically away by Pillman and Arn. Sting puts up a brave fight, but Arn and Pillman drag him down and hold him for Flair stomps. Flair pulls off his bandage, revealing that it was all a trick. Nick Patrick runs down to try to restore order as the Horseman beat Sting up. The bell finally rings like a full minute or 2 after the ref signaled for it.
Yeah.
Patrick and Randy Anderson try to shield Sting with their bodies, but Flair kicks Randy Anderson in the head, and the beating continues as we cut to Gene. Heenan, noting his own experiences in double-crossing people, rates that double cross a 10. Thoughts on this one?
This is a very fun match. What's interesting about this match to me is that if people are aware of it, they kind of remember the finish, but I don't think people really, as a whole, remember the entire match and really what goes on. It's famous for the turn and for maybe the last couple minutes of build-up, and just how again, you said over the top it all is. So first half of the match is quite good. It's a great example of how Sting is and will always be considered just a great babyface. Early on, he just has the power advantage. He still has the speed as well, so he's able to get around them. It's clear that he can beat them up, especially if it's a one-on-one match. You know, he really sells you that with no chicanery or anything happening, I could take you guys out real easily. Is that really fun spot where he has Pillman up in the press slam, I believe, and Randy Anderson keeps going to the ropes to block him from, like, he's going to throw him out of the ring, apparently.
Yes.
Randy Anderson, as we said, is the smaller ref. So he easily climbs up like onto the second rope, straddling them to block him, because he can't be Nick Patrick and just wave his arms to block him. The way he climbs up there, he climbs into the corner at one point. It's just a silly but enjoyable thing. And it's like Sting is just casually holding this 220-pound guy over his head.
He keeps him up for a long dang time, yeah.
Yeah, because he walks towards the one side, he blocks, he goes to the other side, and he goes to the corner. Yeah, it's very impressive strength. The second half is where the match really turns into something special. Flair's entrance gets this amazing pop. Everyone reacts to it. I think, they say absence make the heart grow fonder. With Flair gone, like in part of the legit story they did, whereas we saw last year, he's forced to retire totally forever, and yet here he is again. with him being gone, even with him being, when he comes back and he fights Arn, they really establish him as a face. There's a lot of people, or even now, really just want to cheer Flair. It's just a massive show of respect kind of thing. Doesn't matter what Flair does. They're like, yeah, this guy's great. He's amazing. So when you make him a good face, like he really plays up in this match and in the build-up, you give them a good reason to cheer. So you get the people that are going to cheer no matter what he did anyways, cheering alongside the people that wouldn't have cheered Flair as a bad guy. These people were booing him and yelling at him when he was trying to end Hogan's career last year. But now they love him. This is the exact same building.
That's true. I hadn't thought about that. Yeah.
And the subtle things that happen throughout the match when he's always trying to assist, but he always comes in never quite at the right time. There's ways you can come in and help your guy and make sure you can get to the corner. He never quite does that. He'll run in and swing at them. He never really. I think he hits Arn maybe slightly on the shoulder a couple of times, while acting like he really wants to come at him and beat him up, and he's gonna rip his eyes out, all sorts of things. But yeah, he runs in, always never quite hits.
Yeah, the only time that he actually does make like significant contact, there's one point where he gets a forearm shot in on Pillman.
Yeah.
When he comes in to break something up. And one, it's not Arn, so it's not the guy that he's been friends with forever. And two, even that still looks more like I shoved you rather than I punched you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
In retrospect, it looks more like Pillman went down for it, not Flair actually injured him or something. So
yeah, exactly. The turn is a solid one, at least in the moment. It gets an amazing reaction from the crowd because they so excited. They tease a hot tag. You're really ready to have Flair finally get his revenge on these guys that betrayed him. And then he immediately attacks Sting and they beat him up, and just the sudden just drop in the audience is so good to see.
Yes, yeah. The immediate turn from wild cheers to wild booing is amazing.
Yes. This reminded me of a match we saw a while ago where Dustin needed help against the Stud Stable. So it's such a silly name. And he recruits Arn.
Yep.
Yeah, he builds to his hot tag to get to Arn, and Arn just immediately DTs him and makes him lose.
Yes. Arn notably smart enough to make his betrayal a finishing move.
Yes.
Not one punch that the guy can immediately get his revenge on you with.
Yeah. There's a lot of comparisons for me between those two matches. That one worked in the sense that Arn's betrayal is so cold, but it's also so abrupt. It's just boom, hits a thing, and the match is over. And they don't really milk as much of the hot tag as they do in this one.
Yes.
So it's interesting case of where, while that match with Dustin and Arn is good, this is an example of how you take that same idea and just with little touches here and there and just really genuinely milking crowd reaction like that, make it just that much better.
It's a character thing too, that Arn will never be as big a personality as Ric Flair.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, this is a case of them really building and building and building and building and building and just being like, you think the crowd's excited enough yet? No, I don't think so. Let's make them want this even more to see Flair tagged in, where Arn was doing perfectly fine on the apron during that match. But he's not the huge personality of Ric Flair, so he's not causing this massive buildup in the crowd. They want to see him tagged in, but they want to see him tagged in purely because Dustin is in trouble.
Yes.
Where with Flair, they want to see him tagged in because they really, really want to see Flair. They've been denied Flair specifically.
Yeah.
I think it's also maybe a difference in how the storyline is built up to begin with, that this is Flair's storyline. Sting is just helping with it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Where it's the exact opposite with Dustin. That's Dustin's storyline. Arn is the guy that he brings in to help with it. So Arn is not the star of this story with him and Dustin, whereas Flair is the star of this story with him and Sting. So it's a difference of how the angle is set up in the first place as well that I think influences that. But yeah, they are extremely similar in how they execute everything and the suddenness of the betrayal immediately after the hot tag and everything. It's a really interesting thing to see them both quite well done examples of this concept.
Yeah. I will say as well, as quickly as Flair's turn to attack Sting is, he does wait like a couple more seconds, like works up, I'm really mad, I'm going to do it, and then he turns.
Yes.
He doesn't like actually work a normal match and then turn to Sting. But it's like a little bit more really just sells like, I'm going to fight. Just kidding.
Yeah, he does his little like strut of, I'm glad to be in the ring. It's going to have my chance. And then he's like, boop.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this is absolutely brilliant stuff. Sting has this superhuman opening, but then spends the match getting beaten down pretty much constantly, putting up just enough of a fight to remind us that he's still in it, earning an unbelievable amount of sympathy from the crowd, and getting them charged up to see Flair. Flair puts on an insanely charismatic performance from the apron and works the crowd into a fever pitch. I would probably call this the best tag partner performance, waiting for a tag, that we have seen. I can't think of too many times that I've seen someone get the crowd charged up better than that.
Yeah, it's hard to argue with that, yeah.
Arn and Pillman show why both were known as some of the best tag wrestlers in history, pulling out all of the heelish tricks and great teamwork to keep control over Sting, including old Anderson favorites especially. It's an extended beatdown, but it never feels boring, especially with Sting and Flair pouring on the melodrama, yelling at each other.
Yeah.
They go way, way, way over the top with it, and it's ridiculous, but absolutely the best. That late match, stand tall, nature boy, exchange lives in my memory.
Yeah.
And it works. The crowd is rabidly rooting for Sting and so excited anytime it looks like Flair could get in.
Mhm.
I swear you could have just played this totally straight and just gone with it, and Flair and Sting would instantly be the hottest tag team of the 1990s.
Yeah.
That pop when Flair is finally tagged, jeez. It's like when Cyclope unmasks his Malenko levels of pop.
Yeah.
It is a legendary level of pop. And of course, it's all just a plot for Flair to punch Sting. I love that Flair does all this build up just to get him one good punch and then basically immediately suffers several times the damage that he just inflicted because Sting just beats the hell out of him.
Yeah, absolutely.
At least before the numbers overwhelm Sting and he takes a trademark Horseman beatdown, of course.
Yeah.
There had to be a few moments in there where Flair really, really regretted his life choices.
Yeah, I can see that.
This had a DQ finish, but it's still the best thing on the show by miles.
Yeah, for sure. I think I really noticed the timing of Flair's coming out as well. Flair waits right until Sting goes down. And that Flair's cue, both in the story and also in character. Okay, now that he's down and he can't get to me, I know they're going to keep him away.
Exactly.
Now I can back. If he come out 30 seconds earlier, he would basically have to be tagged by Sting. He wouldn't have as much fun toying with them emotionally and mentally.
Yeah, it's a brilliant bit, like both for the match plotting in general and from an in-character perspective, it's perfectly timed. He's like, okay, I've seen Arn wrestle. I've seen Pillman wrestle. I know how good both of these guys are at keeping a tag partner away from his corner. So now that Sting's down and in their control, I can come out there and it'll look great to Sting and to the crowd. They'll be like, oh, look, here's Saintly Flair coming out to assist Sting. I don't think anyone's ever called Ric Flair saintly before. But
yeah.
But actually, it's me taking advantage of the fact that, yeah, he can't possibly get to me now. It's expertly done. Everything Flair does on the ring apron looks like he is a legitimate tag partner. He doesn't give any sign of not being serious about being Sting's partner. He really, really looks like he's doing his best to let Sting get the tag. There's no like obvious points where he pulls away when Sting would have gotten there or something like that.
Yeah.
There's one point where he leaves the apron, but it's because Pillman comes and challenges him basically. And even then, it's not like Sting would have gotten there but for that or anything like that. So this match is amazingly well plotted.
Yeah. Other than discussing the long-term story of this, the only real downside of a match like this, or a moment like the turn, is that, like anything that's done just so well, other people go, oh, we could do that. We could do that better. And there's a bunch of times there are WCW and WWF and every wrestling company since, really, where they try the same thing. And I don't think it ever really works quite as well. I won't spoil this one I know from WCW that absolutely does not work as well as this. There's a couple I can think of. It's the thing when you do something so well, everyone wants to do it again.
Yes.
And there's a point where maybe just don't. Maybe just let that be a great moment and don't try to outdo it because you're not going to.
This is incredible and I don't think can ever be fully replicated. This was a factor of the personalities of the people involved, the reputations of the people involved, the massive amount of storyline that's between this group of wrestlers.
Yeah.
And between Sting and Flair especially. This is lightning in a bottle. You cannot recapture this. This is a perfect example of how you do this on a show.
Yeah.
We cut to Gene, who calls the betrayal the most disgusting thing that he's ever seen. Then chills the hotline.
Of course.
1-900-909-9900. We get a shot of a face paintless Road Warrior Hawk chatting on the phone, which is one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
It's very strange, yeah.
It looks like he's a gym teacher calling a student's parents.
Yes, I can see that. Absolutely.
Gene brings in Flair, Arn, and Pillman.
Make that call right now. Gentlemen, come on in here. Arn Anderson, Brian Pillman, you have perpetrated the worst thing I've ever seen, Flair.
All right. Now we go to school. First thing you learn is you don't jump on double A. Second thing you learn is you don't play around with Flying Brian. Third thing you learn is you never mess around with an Nature Boy. And the fourth thing is you don't walk, talk, or breathe unless the horseman wants you to. Right, Ryan? Woo! Summarize this.
Be careful what you wish for. All you bloodthirsty fans out there that ask for this, well, you got it. Now deal with it.
Oh, we're reunited, and it feels so good, horseman style. Woo!
Ladies and gentlemen, this is perhaps one of the worst things I could ever recall happening. Doug Dillinger, what is the condition of Sting right now? Does anybody know? Come on, get me some word here. This is absolutely ludicrous. Bobby Heenan and Tony Schiavone, gentlemen. Heenan, I don't know, you probably knew about this game plan far in advance. Tony, back to you.
Great promo here.
Yeah.
Flair, Pillman, and Arn are absolutely elated to have pulled off their slightly bonkers plan.
Yeah.
And celebrate the revival of one of wrestling's most storied factions, albeit still needing one more member. They'll get there.
Mm-hmm.
Flair is so cocky and pleased with himself here, and Arn is wonderfully threatening as ever. Pillman does a decent enough woo, and at least gets to look smug. Don't worry, Brian, you'll get to talk a lot in the next few months.
Yeah, it's true.
Excellent promo. Just like, it's a heel faction just being self-congratulatory. I enjoy those moments.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I thought it was a really strong Flair promo. My other critique, I guess, would be is they don't really elaborate on the story at all.
No.
It's just like, yeah, we're back together. Bye.
I am fine with that on this show. I think it's okay for them to not explain everything necessarily on this show, but you would hope for more to come on a Nitro or something. We'll get to where this goes in a moment. But yeah, I think as far as just them being like taunting and, yeah, we got one over on you, we got one over on the crowd. This is them taunting not just Sting, but taunting the crowd, taunting the announcers, taunting everybody. We fooled everybody. And they do it without ever actually saying the words, we fooled you, as you'll see in other lesser versions of this type of promo in the future.
Mm-hmm.
This is brilliant.
It's interesting early take by Arn as well, where wrestling promos are addressing the fans and how they react to the wrestlers as well.
He is acknowledging the fact that the Four Horsemen is a legendary faction, that people did want to see its return. Yeah, he does a great job of saying, like, yeah, you were asking for this. You wanted this.
Yeah.
Don't boo us. You wanted this. You asked for this.
Exactly, yeah.
I think that was a great turnaround on the crowd on that as well.
Yeah, this is the same year that Mick Foley turned heel in ECW at this point. He turns on them because the fans are bloodthirsty and, they chant, you effed up if you slip on a thing. You got mad about a sign about his son, the famous Kane Dewey sign.
Oh, golly, yeah, that one.
He took that as a impetus to become this character who just hated the audience. So it's interesting to see this kind of a thing with Foley and then with Arn coming into effect. This is 1995. This would be way before they start legit trying to mess with dirt sheets and other things like that.
Right.
And try to fool the internet. And gotcha. There's an episode of Futurama where they turn Bender, the robot, into a human, but he has no impulse control. So he disappears for a week and they find him. He'd been smoking, drinking, and eating because they're all new experiences. And he can't control himself. So he says woo and they have a party. And at the end of the party, they go to greet him. and the professor reveals he's dead. He died right before the party started. The guy goes, but he just said woo. Says, oh no, that's just air escaping with the folds of his fat.
Yeah.
It's real casual, like, woo. That's what Pillman sounded like. I had to get that quote just right, because that is exactly the same sound.
I was thinking about that myself actually recently on like everybody else that does a woo when they're with Ric Flair. What I think a lot of people miss with it is Flair does it and he's louder at first, starts lower, gets louder, and then gets slow again. So it's like there's a punch to it.
Yeah.
Woo! Where everyone else doing it does woo. It's a more elongated thing.
Yeah, it's like a ghost, not Ric Flair at that point.
Even Heenan, when he does it, will do like this more elongated thing. No one gets that like initial punch.
Yeah.
That Ric Flair does, which is always interesting to me.
It's always with wrestlers, they have a famous catchphrase or a line. Very few people can get it exactly right. Like people doing the Telehawk, the Road Warrior thing. He goes, well, getting that well right is or Mad Dog Savage's ooh yeah kind of thing. There's so many subtleties to how wrestlers, because they do this for years and they practice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they probably practice on the road, like probably annoying the guy they're riding with. I want to go woo. I'm gonna get this just right. Yes. They just woo. This poor guy hears him woo for like 4 hours on the drive to a hotel.
Oh my gosh, that is the best mental image.
There you go.
Ric Flair just riding in a car going woo, woo.
He's like, no, that's not right. I got a longer. Yeah, just like really like workshopping it. Yeah. On the November 6th Nitro, Flair would challenge Sting for his U.S. title, but he would not be successful, unfortunately. So that gets to the point, I guess, of this. What exactly was their goal?
Yes.
When this feud started, building the build to Halloween Havoc, Sting probably didn't like Pillman and Arn, but he wasn't really involved in their business. He's the U.S. champion. He's got all this stuff going on. He's involved in the whole Dungeon of Doom, Hogan, Savage, Luger stuff. He's got a lot on his plate. But what happens is, depending on when you view this timeline, Flair and company decide, let's bring him into this business. We just want to beat him up and torture him physically and mentally. And the payoff is us turning on him. And not like, oh, we're going to injure him and then he's going to be stripped of the title, or I'm going to weaken his leg so I can then challenge him on the next night and steal the U.S. title. And that's our first step to dominance. U.S. title, then the world and all that. They don't seem to have a goal in mind.
Yeah, I was looking into this a lot because this has always been just a fascinating angle to me in how well it's executed on this show and how poorly it is plotted around.
Yeah.
So yeah, looking at what Flair actually accomplishes here. This is coming off of a feud that he had with Arn and Pillman, which includes like a 20-plus minute match at Fall Brawl. So question number one, is that match part of the plan? Or did Flair really fight Arn, and this is just kind of how the Horsemen make up with each other? Is it like, hey man, I'm sorry, let's be friends again. Let's do what we love. Let's go punch Sting. It'll be fun. Is that what's going on here?
That's my theory anyways, yeah.
Yeah. But let's set that aside for a moment.
Sure.
And let's assume it was a multi-month plot.
Okay.
Does it earn Flair anything other than Sting's undying rage? As you pointed out, Flair does get a match for Sting's U.S. title as a result of a phone poll, at least in kayfabe, not due to what he did here. They actually, on that Nitro, asked people to call in to determine what a major match on the show will be, and one of the options is Flair versus Sting.
Oh, okay.
It's not even like Sting challenges Flair because of this, and Flair earns a title shot because of that, or anything like that. From the context of the storyline, random.
Mm-hmm. At most, it could be push polling.
Oh, sure.
Create a situation where they'll want to see it and then hope that it wins the random polling, if it really wins.
Absolutely. Like, that's certainly an option. But that also appears to be the only match that he gets, as far as I can tell. And by the way, also that match is the one where Sting is so ticked off as a result of what happened here that when the match ends by him putting on the Scorpion Deathlock on Ric Flair and Flair submitting, Sting then keeps the Scorpion Deathlock on him until he's talked down and led away by some babyfaces, then runs back to the ring, locks it back on him again, and has to be talked down by Lex Luger.
Mm-hmm.
So Flair, with this plot, earns some nearly broken legs. Not his finest plan there. But also, beyond that, the match that Flair had a few weeks before Fall Brawl on the first ever Nitro, which kicks off the angle with Arn Anderson, or at least kicks it into high gear where it leads towards their match at Fall Brawl.
Uh-huh.
is a United States title match against Sting.
Oh.
Flair has Sting in the figure 4. He's using the ropes repeatedly, and the ref is getting on his case about that. But then Arn enters the ring, and that leads to the disqualification. It's unclear whether the DQ is for Arn entering the ring or for Flair overusing the ropes. But either way, they're roughly simultaneous.
Sure.
And then they beat each other up right there. So basically, if this was a trick, and even if we credit Flair with like influencing the phone poll by making the crowd desire to see this match again, if this was a trick, it earns Flair only what he lost when he started the trick.
Yeah.
So my best guess at the intent here, like you, I think, is that the idea is that Flair and Arn's feud was legit in the storyline, but that Arn convinces Flair at some point before this match to go back to being heel Flair. And this is kind of like either Flair's way of earning his way back into Arn's good graces, or just Flair amusing himself by betraying Sting for fun after deciding to join Arn again.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think you could have made this whole thing storyline-wise a lot better by having Flair actually win the U.S. title from Sting, have him take advantage of Sting's injuries that he and the Horsemen inflicted here, and win the title. But that's on a future thing. The portrayal on the show here, great.
Yeah. I was saying, as far as the U.S. title goes, Sting goes overseas, they have a bunch of shows in Japan, and he loses the U.S. title to Kazuki Sasaki.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the two of them are now feuding without the U.S. title involved whatsoever.
Yeah, so it's a wonderfully bizarre thing where you're just like, I don't get what you got out of this, Flair, other than Sting hating your guts.
Yeah.
And wanting to beat the ever-living crap out of you and injure you.
You created the enemy. Yeah.
Yeah. You could have just strung him along for longer. You could have found a good opportunity. You could have taken advantage of injuries. It's just like, they plotted out everything about this feud so wonderfully, except for the ending.
Yeah.
If they had one more little detail in there, this would be one of the greatest angles of 1995, easily.
Mm-hmm.
But that last little step they missed, and there's like, Flair betrays Sting. Why? Well, because he's Flair and that's Sting. And sure, that is a fair answer. But it's just like, what does he get out of it? Nothing.
Yeah, you need a long-term view of these kind of things sometimes.
Sting is helped out by the trainer, and Tony recalls Sting's words to Flair on a recent Saturday night. If you double-cross me, I'll leave you for dead. Tony, much like us, wonders if Flair's match with Arn was all part of the plan as well, and Heenan says that's how it looks. Heenan professes not to have known anything about it, and to have been genuinely distressed by the fighting between Arn and Flair, and happily says, now they're together, and Sting was sacrificed. Tony builds up Savage versus Luger, and throws to Mike Tenay, who is with Lex Luger.
Still to come, Lex Luger against the Macho Man Randy Savage. We take you now to Mike Tenay. Mike?
What a perplexing situation here in Detroit, Michigan, Lex Luger. You appeared to have the match in control. You had Ming set for the torture rack, then he brought the Asiatic Spike into the ring, and of all people, the Taskmaster, Kevin Sullivan, interferes. What do you make of this? Now you have to face Randy Savage after that grueling match with Ming.
You know, it seems a very perplexing situation. It seems there's forces here in the World Championship Wrestling, besides my good pal and friend Sting, who want this match between the Macho Man, Randy Savage, and myself to take place. The reasons why, I can't really say. I don't really know. Maybe I'm not 100% right now, but Macho Man, when the total package Lex Luger hears that bell ring, it's you and I, the big boys, getting it on. And when the bell rings, I'm going to be there, Macho Man. And you know what? I'm going to be all over you because I've got a goal that I stated from day one. And you and your pal, Hulk Hogan, can commiserate together all you want. But the bottom line is this. I am the total package. I am going to be the greatest wrestler the WCW has ever seen. I am going to be the world's heavyweight champion. You know what, Macho Man? I'm going to go through you to get there. I'm going to make an example of you. So, Macho Man, you better be ready. You've taken on a lot of big matches in your career, but you've never had a bigger match than the total package Lex Luger right now, because I'm standing before you and I'm telling you, Macho Man, that I'm going to take you apart piece by piece, because a total package always gets what he wants.
Now let's go back to the ring. Tony Schiavone and Bobby the Brain Heenan.
A few weird pauses there, but the substance of the promo and most of the delivery were good. Wisely, this is focused less on the kind of arcane machinations behind setting up this match, and more just on the match itself and Luger wanting to prove himself and fight his way to the world title, and being able to fight despite having such a long match against Meng. Luger comes off as confident, powerful, but also a little petulant.
Yeah.
It's a brave promo, but it's not a face promo. Luger's delivery is a little bit off at points, but overall I thought this went pretty well and got across what it needed to.
Yeah, I thought the intro is not great. He almost says the WWF.
Yes, that's true.
He's pausing to think of his next line a bit more. Then he kind of finds himself about a minute or so in. It becomes the classic Luger promo.
Yeah. And to be fair to him, this storyline is confusing. So I imagine him trying to work out, how do I work my way through this? Or what am I supposed to feel on this emotionally and all this stuff? Probably was a little bit complicated. But yeah, I would agree. I think it starts out weaker than it ends up.
Yeah, it's a case of that. It's not a great start to the promo, but he really does get his footing. The worst he does really in the latter promo, and it's a pretty common Luger thing, is you go up and then back down again.
Yes.
And not with the correct emphasis.
True.
You can definitely tell the difference between a wrestler cutting a promo versus, say, an actor delivering a monologue. There's certain demeanor and cadence that you think of as a cliche wrestling promo. And Luger, for better or worse, really lives and fulfills that very well so much. I'm glad he got his footing because the intro was not great. He pulled it together quite well, to his credit.
Yeah, you got what I'm saying about it, that it's there's a certain tone to it where he is delivering lines that would largely feel fine coming from a face, but there is something about his tone where you're just I don't think you're a face.
Yes.
You're not sincere in this.
Yeah, he totally talks about the whole package always getting what he wants. That's not a face thing you do.
That as well, yeah. His wording is a little bit different at times too, which is neat. So I think they did a good job of playing the edge with him.
Yeah, absolutely. There's the thing that you started to see into the mid to late 90s, these characters that never quite become bad guys, never quite become good guys again either. Stone Cold Steve Austin is a very famous example of that. And others like him. Luger is maybe not always thought about that way, which is kind of a shame because he plays a very interesting kind of character where he's definitely a classic wrestling heel, but because he has kind of the look of a wrestling face, he's able to sort of throw that on. It's like someone is smiling, but their eyes tell you they're not happy.
Yep.
That's very much what you get from Luger.
Yeah, and I think that it benefits as well that he is friends with Sting, and they just run with that even as they have him take these more heelish turns. You always have this hope with Luger in this period that he's not making the right decisions now, but maybe he'll make the right decision coming forward.
Yeah.
As we'll see shortly, he is kind of turning full heel right now, but at the same time, he's never going to be the lost to being a face kind of heel.
Yeah.
There's always going to be that side of him where you're there is something in there that I think could be admirable if you just listen to Sting more.
Yeah. Also, if you go back and watch OSW, they talked about when he had his whole Lex Express thing in WWF, where they basically made him the new Hogan.
Yes.
Hogan's gone, you're the younger one, wear American flag attire, do all these things. And you can tell as it goes on that he's just not built to be that way.
Right.
He's able to say these lines, but there's always something about the way he looks or his demeanor when he's shaking kids' hand and hugging babies. You're like, you don't really mean this.
This isn't what you want to be doing as a character. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So when he's not given anything else to do, and it's just you're Lex Luger, you're the hero everyone needs. It feels shallow because he's not committed to it because it's not what he wants to do. It's not what he's meant to do.
Yeah. Contrast to him in 1997 when he is playing the Lex Luger, the hero everyone needs, but he's allowed to do it in his own way.
Yes.
And I think you see what Luger can be as a face there is quite good. And I think that's because that one's allowed to build naturally. It's not just a sudden, oh gosh, Hogan's gone, we need a shift. It's Luger slowly coming into his own over the course of several months of build-up to Luger actually being a hero again. So I think they let him find his footing with that one.
Yeah, there's definitely a mindset that started to really become a thing in WCW where let things sort of play out naturally and build. And maybe they don't always deliver in the final result with all the buildup, but it's hard to fault them for their willingness to let these things breathe and feel like a real story, not just week 1, I'm ready to fight you, and week 3, I'm still going to fight you.
Yeah. It's almost always going to be better to let something breathe for a while and let something play out fully than it is to hotshot an ending to it.
Exactly.
Tony builds up the Luger Savage match, hopes for updates on Sting, and builds up the upcoming Hogan Giant match before switching topics to the other Hogan Giant match, the Monster Truck one, which is next. He says Eric Bischoff will be here for it, as well as Bob Chandler, builder of Bigfoot, who he says built both trucks tonight, and then adds that he built Hogan's truck, which was already included in the prior statement. So I'm not sure if he just flubbed the line and was correcting.
Huh. Yeah, that's weird.
He asks Heenan about what's happened between Hogan and the Giant, and Heenan says Hogan is the kind of champ who shouldn't be champ and is a disgrace. He says Hogan shouldn't be champ, he should be shoved off the roof into the Detroit River, pulled out, dragged into the building, and defeated. Heenan wants to see a new heavyweight champ. Tony says that all could happen, and throws to a video package about Hogan and the Giant.
The Wrath of the Giant. WCW World Champion knows it all too well. First, it was the shocking appearance in Huntington Beach, California, as he tossed his father's shirt toward the champ.
Remember this?
Then, only a week later, it was discovered that he was a part of the Dungeon of Doom.
I am the one true immortal.
Hulk Hogan declared war. A war that would lead Hogan back to the dungeon for yet another brutal, blatant attack. The Hulkster gathered his team of Hulkamaniacs for Fall Brawl and War Games. But it was there, prior to the event, that the Giant struck. It would be the first of many blows to the power of Hulkamania. It happened as Hogan was arriving to the arena on his cherished Harley-Davidson motorcycle. Then later the same night, as Hogan had the Taskmaster in the cage, the Giant attacked again. As a result, an injured Hulk Hogan made a challenge.
I'm gonna build a bigger, a better, a stronger, more powerful monster truck. I'm gonna get him to hook his up to mine, and I'm gonna drag him around and around and around the Joe Louis Arena, brother, because I'm setting him up in Detroit, man. And after I outpower his truck, after I embarrass him, then I'm gonna put the WCW title on the line, brother, and I'm gonna put him in his place, dude.
But the Giant, under the guidance of Taskmaster Kevin Sullivan, was unstoppable as he unleashed a premeditated attack on WCW Monday Nitro Live on September 25th. Hogan witnessed the attack from his home and quickly made it clear he would confront the Giant on the next live Nitro event. That Nitro event proved even more dangerous for the Hulkster. After his interview, the most vicious and horrible attack of all occurred.
Oh, what is this? There's a woman with a cane.
I know he's going to do it again. No! No! Oh, they're shaving off the mustache!
An injured, shaved Hulk Hogan would not stay down. He went to Chicago the next week to confront the Giant again. The fans were stunned as they saw the world champ as never before, dressed in black. But this time, the Giant was barred from the arena and Hogan gave chase. Police kept both men apart. Then, last week, the Master told of a plan of insurance for Halloween Havoc. He returned during WCW Monday Nitro to present his insurance, the Yeti. Later in that same program, the Giant was on the attack again when the power of Hulkamania made one final powerful statement heading toward their collision. But the Dungeon of Doom had one more surprising move. As the countdown continues to Halloween Havoc, Hulk Hogan prepares his monster truck, knowing that for the first time in his career, he must face the same man twice in one night. First, machine against machine, as the two control their sumo monster truck in an explosive battle, and then man against man. As a determined Hulk Hogan defends the WCW World title against the most feared and awesome competitor World Championship Wrestling has ever witnessed, and must contend with what lies ahead.
Allowing for the fact that this is a stupid storyline.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good video package.
Yeah.
It goes over the sometimes ridiculous events of this feud in quite a bit of detail, so you really get a good idea of what happened. I wish they hadn't put the entire thing in a picture frame that only takes up 2/3 of the screen for some reason.
Yeah.
But somebody had to play with some video effects on the new editor, I guess.
Video toaster.
Yeah. Speaking of effects, it ends with generic versions of Hogan and Giant's trucks morphing into the men, and I am sure that someone was so proud of that.
Yeah.
Also, we get a shot of the Yeti breaking out of a block of ice, but I'm not going to spoil what WCW thinks a Yeti is here.
Oh, yeah, we'll get there. Like what you said about the whole Legend of Doom thing, it's that weird mix of just flat out dumb, really silly, but just so enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of don't wish this was all about the world champion, and you want this like in the middle of the card, of insanity. And then, okay, let's have a nice, normal, Flair Sting match or something.
Yeah.
You want to balance, but it's like, no, we're going to make all of this about monsters and monster trucks and Kevin Sullivan dressing a drag to attack Hogan, his mustaches saved off, all these things. All for an elaborate plan to get him to fight to in a monster truck and make him so crazy he waves the sword around while wearing a Phantom of the Opera mask at one point. Okay, sure, why not?
You hit the nail on the head there, that this is a feud that is written solidly for the mid-card.
Yes.
If you had some guy who had a weird supernatural gimmick on the face side,
yeah,
this is the kind of stuff that you would pull, and it'd be like a highlight mid-card feud. It's like, this is the thing you give a guy that you want to have on every show, but he doesn't have to be like fully serious because he's not the top of your card.
Yeah.
I mean, really, the same mindset goes into the stuff with Glacier later on, right?
Yeah, for sure.
It's that kind of feud, but it's for the world title.
Yeah.
And it is for months about the world title with all this ridiculous cartoon crap that you're just like, what are you smoking with this stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it is some of the most fun that you will ever have watching WCW, honestly, is the Dungeon of Doom stuff. Not for the reasons that they intended, I don't think, but you can definitely enjoy this angle.
Yeah.
I will credit it for that, at least, that even if it's not fun in the way that they intended it to be fun, it is fun.
It's a tricky thing, right? So, like, if this is designed for, like, children, kids up to, like, 15 or less, depending on how jaded they get. But good Disney films, as an example, can appeal to adults, can have some stuff adults enjoy. Like, the parents don't feel punished.
Yeah.
Going to the movie, they're like, oh, I gotta watch this again with Billy, There's something they enjoy there. But this one, you basically nail the kid demo. You completely alienate the middle portion demo. And you really only deliver to the people that just want to laugh at this thing, that you're really not trying to make it be laughed at.
Yes.
Maybe this is why your attendance and your views are down, because this is your main storyline. You're dragging all these people into it, and you're not going to reach everyone with the story.
Yeah. I think this is a storyline that worked infinitely better 10 years down the line with people looking back at it. People can look back at the Dungeon of Doom angle, and they're not upset about how stupid it is. They, in fact, love how stupid it is.
Yeah, exactly.
But in the moment, if you paid your hard-earned money to go to this pay-per-view and this is the kind of crap that you're getting, you're like, kind of annoyed. I'm kind of annoyed at you, WCW.
Yeah, pretty much.
We cut back to the commentary desk, and Tony is gone, replaced by Eric Bischoff and Bob Chandler. Eric builds up the match and introduces Chandler, and Chandler talks up the technical specs of Hogan's truck. Heenan helpfully prompts him to explain the sheer weight and size of the trucks as well, and says it'll be like having 2 Greyhound buses on the roof with 747 engines stuck in them. Eric builds up the trucks and the match again, and throws to the match. Here we go.
Technically a ring. It's a circle.
Yeah. So our 7th match is Hulk Hogan versus the Giant in a monster truck sumo match. And the referee is Ellis Edwards, WCW stunt coordinator, per Wikipedia at least.
Mm-hmm.
Our commentary team for this one is Eric Bischoff, Bob Chandler, and Bobby Heenan. We cut to the roof, where Hogan and Giant are shouting at each other. Giant's truck is stylized like a skull with fangs, and Hogan's, of course, is red and yellow with giant Hogan arms on it.
And a bandana.
And a bandana, actually, yes, I forgot about that.
Don't forget the bandana.
Hogan prompts the ref to tell them the rules, which the ref does in a less than organized fashion.
Yeah.
There's a big circle. There's explosive charges planted as well, but unless they disable the truck, the drivers keep going. The goal is to push both axles of the truck out of the circle all the way to the bumper. Hogan looks so weird without the mustache. That's not a rule, just something that occurred to me when I paused to type.
Yeah, it does, though.
The bumpers, by the way, will be attached to each other, and the ref is apparently going to stand on the trucks until there's an explosion or something, and that's the signal to start, which sounds like the most dangerous possible way to start the match.
Yeah.
Eric then explains the rules again, much more succinctly. The trucks are welded together right before the match, which kind of seems like something that you could have done before we tuned in, but why not waste more time on this?
Yeah.
Heenan points out that Chandler had earlier said the trucks run on alcohol, and Chandler agrees that if an explosive charge hits the gas tank, they're goners. Somehow this match is not on WCW's Uncensored series.
Yeah, true.
The trucks push against each other, and we get shots from a simply absurd number of camera angles. We have steady cams, a helicopter, yay. Inside the cabs, all sorts. Eric does explain the presence of other people in the cabs by saying both axles of each truck have to be independently controlled, so there's a pilot and a co-pilot. Reportedly, in actuality, they have stunt drivers actually driving, so Hogan and Giant can just act, which makes sense.
Yes.
The commentary team tries to make two trucks going back and forth for a while remotely interesting, and to his credit, Eric works with Chandler to delve into the mechanics of the trucks and the struggle, while Heenan engages in his favorite pastime, insulting Hulk Hogan.
Mm-hmm.
In true Hogan match fashion, Hogan starts strong, Giant starts to overwhelm him, and one axle of Hogan's truck gets pushed out a couple times, the second setting off an explosive, but then Hogan comes back and wins. It only takes 3/4 of eternity.
Yeah.
The wrestlers get out of their trucks, and Giant angrily goes after Hogan, pursuing him to the edge of the roof. They fight, and Giant chokes Hogan and lifts him atop the ledge, then climbs up too. Hogan breaks free, and Giant loses his balance and falls from the roof as Hogan lunges to grab him but misses. Shocked, Hogan runs and shouts for help. Thoughts on this one?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so if you love watching trucks drive forwards, then backwards, and then forward again, this is for you.
Congratulations on joining your first day of kindergarten, I guess.
Again, not picking on children, but as a child, you give a kid a truck that's a good size. Like, needs a full hand to hold that. And he gets to, bump it into his other toys or into the sofa, stuff like that. Or your legs. It just happens a lot, apparently. A kid enjoys that. I don't know if a kid's going to enjoy watching them drive back and forth in this circle when occasionally the explosion goes off because they're welded together.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is a sumo style match. In sumo wrestling, they charge at each other and try to knock each other over, and they'll back away and they'll charge again. They aren't tied together at the wrists and just walking back and forth in the circle while someone throws rice if they step one foot over.
Yeah, that's entirely fair. The collision aspect is gone. And I get, obviously, why the collision aspect is probably gone, because that would be ludicrously dangerous. But there's something missing in this match, and there's a heck of a lot more you could do tactically with this match if the trucks are not tethered together.
Yeah. Poor Bob Chandler and Bischoff try to explain, Hogan is being pushed out, but he turns the axle, or I guess his buddy, he tells his guy to turn the axle for him. So then, that's where they're turning. That's why he get driven out.
Yeah.
But okay, how does one person get an advantage in a match where you can't go forward without pushing the other one?
Yeah.
If you're both pushing down on the gas, going forward, pushing down 60 miles per hour with the force, you're just going to stand still. So really, it's just, okay, I'm going to push you this way. No, stop. And now I'm pushing this way.
Yeah, it's not like the cars get tired, where you can be like, oh, let's let him expend all his energy. I'll just resist, and then I'll have a chance to do it. Like, if this was a legit sumo match where for some reason they were bound together, it would still have more going on in it tactically, because humans can tire out.
Yeah.
If you can hold on for long enough and not expend energy while the other guy's expending energy, then you can overwhelm him with your pushback. So I think that's the psychology they're going for here, but it doesn't make sense because these are not humans. They're motor vehicles, and motor vehicles don't have stamina.
Yeah.
They have gasoline. Either they have enough gas for what they're doing or they don't.
Yeah. Why does Giant get an advantage in this portion of the quote-unquote match and push Hogan forward? And why is Hogan just suddenly push harder on the gas pedal?
Yeah.
To reverse it,
either Giant's truck is stronger, is heavier, and has more horsepower, or it doesn't.
Yeah.
When cars do this, it is a contest of physics, not of match strategy.
Yeah.
I appreciate, again, like you pointed out, I appreciate Bischoff taking the effort and Chandler taking the effort to try and do here's how Hogan avoids getting pushed out.
Yeah.
But it still doesn't answer how Hogan can then push Giant back, because if Giant's truck is strong enough to push Hogan's truck in this instance, it is always going to be strong enough to push Hogan's truck. That's how cars work.
Yeah, why does it suddenly lose all horsepower and just get casually pushed out the back and just, oh, well, we lost.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
The way I could see them making it work maybe would be if they had done it where Hogan, while avoiding getting pushed out, angled Giant's truck so that the explosion kind of partially hit it. And they could say, ooh, Giant's truck was damaged.
Yeah.
And then you can be like, now Hogan's truck is the stronger one.
Or if you're able to turn it, if you're able to somehow turn the rear axles to where you don't go out and you kind of just turn it like a 70-degree angle, for instance.
You judo throw him out, basically.
Yeah, essentially. Then once he's off balance, you just now gun it. So you'll push him a few feet past there.
Yeah, because it's really close, yeah.
Yeah. But plays that with Hogan just pushed his rear axle out, and then he's just not being pushed anymore.
Yeah.
And then pushes him the entire way across in a straight line. How?
It's all because it's being booked by people that understand how human bodies work.
Yeah.
But not how vehicles work in this kind of contest, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's not worth all the money. And I was going to, I don't think they necessarily paid all the expense here, because it's part of a sponsorship thing, but still, however many thousands of dollars, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars they spent on this, was not worth it.
Yeah, just to go over what this involves, we've got 2 monster trucks.
Yeah.
Which are customized for this show.
Yes.
We have a second arena that they had to rent.
Yeah.
We had getting the monster trucks up on the roof, which I did do some research, and there is apparently rooftop parking on Cobo Hall, at least from what I was able to read. But I'm still pretty sure that even if there's a ramp or something, it's probably not built for monster trucks.
Yeah.
It's probably at the very least inconvenient, and at the worst, they might have needed a crane or something to rent. So that's, more cha-ching.
Mm-hmm.
Multiple camera angles, including one that's from a helicopter. So that was expensive.
Per the hour, yeah.
And then explosives.
Yeah.
Plus the gimmick around whatever happens with Giant falling off the roof to make that a safe stunt to perform. I'm sure there was expense in that as well.
Yeah.
The amount of stuff that they had to put together for this, I believe on What Happened When, Tony Schiavone kind of looks at all that and says, there's no way that we made back the money on this match. This probably took up everything that we earned from this pay-per-view.
Yeah. I think I talked about when we did Dark at 94. Hogan comes in, get this massive, massive draw with Bash the Beast 94. That first show. It's the highest grossing show they have for years. But then as time goes on, the appeal of him just sort of wanes. It's one thing when you're paying the guy, let's say $1 million a year, probably more than that. And you're getting these big sellout gates and breaking pay-per-view numbers and doing all these things. Once you're not doing that, and you're still paying him the $1 million, you're like, wait, this show did 10% better than last year's show, but it cost us 80% more to do it, to pay Hogan and his buddies and all these things. Then it's not worth it. And that's what this is. It's not worth it from the get-go.
This actually does worse than last year's show and definitely costs way more. It's just not a good thing.
It'd be one thing if it was entertaining, but it's not.
Yeah, this lasted about 5 minutes, but it felt significantly longer. The commentary team's efforts notwithstanding, it's just not very interesting to watch 2 trucks push back and forth.
Yeah.
If this was an obstacle course or a freestyle trick competition or a race or one of those other things that they do at actual monster truck shows, maybe it'd be an odd but fun inclusion on a wrestling show. But ironically, by trying to make this something that actually applied to wrestling in some way, they made it much more boring to watch.
Yeah. It's like with demolition derbies. Besides the general one where they just all drive around in a big circle and you hate each other, they have the figure 8 race where everyone's racing and eventually they have to cross through that middle part.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the appeal is. The joy isn't, ooh, I can't wait to watch car number 5 make this loop 6 times or however many times you have to do it. The appeal is, I can't wait till he crosses and maybe this guy's going to cross, he's going to hit him or this guy will hit him in the back. So if you take a figure 8 race, oh, this is great. Okay, let's take this middle part out and set them to drive in a circle. That's not the same thing.
Right.
It's not the same thing.
Yeah, admittedly, it's also easier to believe that Hogan and Giant know how to make trucks push against each other than it would be to believe that they knew how to race them or do cool tricks. But still, I do appreciate them trying to make a story out of it, but all the little nuances that make wrestling interesting were gone here. So let's let monster truck shows be monster truck shows and wrestling shows be wrestling shows, and never the twain shall meet again, right?
Yeah. There's a gimmick in comic books that have done for decades where you have some big anniversary issue or big number anniversary, issue 500 or 400, whatever. And someone will go, ooh, what if we give Spider-Man armor? Oh, that's a big event thing. But what if it was not good? Because it's not. Spider-Man armor is just silly. So you've done this thing, which is different, but it's not good.
Right. Different doesn't necessarily mean good.
Exactly.
It doesn't necessarily mean bad either.
No.
Don't always do the same thing, but when you decide to do something different, think it through.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't affect anything really, but one side note, per Tony on what happened when, this was filmed the previous night, which does make sense. It's a big complicated thing, and it's sensible to pre-film it so you don't rely on everything going right in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
It's rare for me to mention sensible in something involving WCW, but they do have their days.
I would think it'd be funny if, since it was filmed in advance, something else is happening in Cobo Hall. Let's say you're having one of those dog shows, and someone's like, wait, do you think there's monster trucks up here right now?
Regardless of the context, I would love to have seen someone's reactions to the noise of that from inside Cobo Hall.
What's happening up there?
Or just like people driving by as the monster trucks were being gotten up to the roof by whatever method they did. That had to be hilarious. It's like, what the heck does that truck have arms on it?
Yeah. Is that truck covering its bald spot? I can't get past the bandana. I'm sorry.
The bandana is hilarious.
I just love that it's there. The main reason they did this, Eric Bischoff has recently talked about this on his podcast, 83 Weeks. He's still obsessed with the time to beat WWF. It's okay. You can move on with your life, but whatever. It's been a while. His answer is that they were not doing great financially because you're paying all these big stars like Hogan. And again, the numbers and attendance are going down. You still got to spend the money, but you're not making the money back. So they thought, let's try more sponsorship things, which is a thing to our WCW. They try whatever sponsorship, whoever will pay us, we will do something with you.
Western Union Slamboree.
Yes. Or Return of RoboCop. So they thought, let's cross promote with these monster truck shows and these monster truck racers. So they got Bob Chandler, the guy who made the famous Bigfoot. This one's actually Bigfoot 8. Apparently, it's a couple more cents. So he didn't make one Bigfoot, but he's made a lot of them. For actual racing and branding, they made the Dungeon of Doom truck, which ran for about a year. So the Giant's truck was the Bigfoot 8. Notably, the Bigfoot 8 minus the Crazy Skull branding was actually seen in the film Tango and Cash.
Oh, okay.
This is before they put weird skulls and Dungeon of Doom branding on it.
Imagine if it wasn't.
Yeah, that would be great. It would later become the NWO monster truck as well. Giant's truck would also be sold to Don King. And no, not that Don King, I checked. A different guy named Don King who's happened to be a racer. I was like, ooh, really, Don King? Oh. Wikipedia, you led me on. I'm so excited for a second. Hogan's truck, which is also another Bigfoot truck, would later be taken out of contention because they do racing and actually musically replaced by a Sting truck because there was also a third Sting truck.
Nice.
By my count, there was 3 they used in racing over about a year or so, and then some of them they come back. They say the impetus of them switching from using Hogan's silly bandana-wearing truck to Sting's as the main focus of the team was because he became a bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
We can't have Hogan truck. He's evil now. Sting will never turn heel, right? Yeah, let's truck will be there. So, about a year before he actually does dethrone Hogan, Sting dethroned Hogan.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. They would eventually, because they still had a lot of money sank into these trucks, they did briefly rebrand his truck in this NWO Hollywood look. I think he had the arms as well, but, the black paint and all that.
Yeah, I think I recall that, yeah.
For some reason, I image of him and 6, a.k.a. Sean Waltman, riding in that into the arena or something.
I believe so. I don't begrudge any of that cross-promotion.
Yeah.
Genuinely, what I would probably have suggested from WCW's perspective, here's what you do, I think. You set up Hogan challenges Giant to a monster truck race. You have these trucks at a monster truck event, and you say, we'll do this at, I don't know if this is the right event or not, but we'll do this at Monster Jam. At the next Monster Jam, you and I are going to race in our trucks.
Yeah.
And obviously, when you get to Monster Jam, it's not Hogan and Giant driving, but from WCW's perspective, you claim it was.
You get months of TV ads, yeah.
Yeah. You can show clips from the race in the build-up to Halloween Havoc or something like that. You don't necessarily do it on the pay-per-view itself. And then also you can do something where the Giant loses and attacks Hogan. Or, I mean, if you do it as a legit race, then you just let the chips fall where they may and just have an angle ready for if Hogan's truck loses and an angle ready if Giant's truck loses, whichever. And then you get to the show and they're both still ticked off at each other. The monster truck thing didn't solve anything and they go at it for real with the world title match.
Yeah.
You keep the wrestling on the wrestling show, you keep the monster trucks on the monster truck show, but you manage the cross promotion then and both shows can promote the other.
Yeah, you just say, hey, we're going to use this branding and get Hogan and Giant and other people to make ads. You can run local markets and affiliate stations. You can run ads on Nitro. And on the actual show, Hogan and Giant show up and they cut a promo, to the live crowd of some degree. Sting may do it as well. And then the normal event for Monster Truck thing, whether it's the race, the stunt show, whatever you want it to be, you can make it a stunt challenge for all I care.
Yeah.
That happens like normal. And you can promote it on WCW Nitro saying, look, Hogan's doing this and Giant's doing that. But you don't need to have the monster trucks on the show.
No, I think that is where the failing of this angle is that you did put the monster trucks on the show and you put them on the show in the only way you could rationally put them on the show. But that way was terrible.
Yes. If you want a reference for that, how this can actually work, look what they did with NASCAR.
Yeah.
They had an NWO NASCAR car that raced and did pretty well, as I recall. They made a point of having the official NWO car driver. He represents them. But at no point are they having a car race taking up 10 minutes on Nitro or on pay-per-view. They just mention, hey, we're sponsoring these things. And people that happen to like NASCAR and like pro wrestling, which at this point, probably a pretty big overlap, can enjoy both things together.
Yeah.
They don't want to go to a NASCAR race and have the race stop for like an hour to set up a ring and have Giant beat somebody up. Nor do they want to then go to the WCW show and watch the race happen there.
As a pure comparison, it'd be just like bring in the NASCAR car and we'll have it do burnouts. It's not even a race; it's just a burnout competition or something like that on the show. Yeah, just that's kind of what happens here. Is they bring in monster trucks. They do with the monster trucks what monster trucks don't do on an actual monster truck show.
Yeah,
because it's boring, and that's their idea of cross promotion. If they just had done it as like, hey, we have a Hogan monster truck, we have a Giant monster truck, and they're cutting promos like they're doing something on that show,
yeah,
it'd be fine.
Sunday, 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 all that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Sunday, 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 brother.
As we stand now, again, we kind of lost in the analysis of truck driving. Apparently, the Giant was killed.
Yes, yeah.
Slipped off the building.
Yep.
So I guess no main event tonight. But don't worry, as long as we can cut to a different match, the crowd will totally be into that after seeing someone just apparently die on screen.
Yep. We cut to Bischoff, Chandler, and Heenan. Everybody is stunned. Credit where credit's due. Everyone, even Chandler, does a pretty good job of looking subdued and shaken here. Chandler does at one point say, this wasn't supposed to happen, but I take that not as it's not in the show's script, and more as this isn't something you ever want to see at a competition.
Yeah, of course.
Heenan asks which side of the roof Giant fell from, water or street. You've got a parking lot, you've got a river. What difference does it make? Bischoff tells the man seeking hope for the survival of the storyline son of his dearly departed friend and former client.
Yeah.
Heenan facepalms.
Yeah. He goes full Picard facepalm, yeah.
Yes. Eric explains they've got a situation and he has to go. So he delegates to Tony Schiavone and the distraught man who just saw, again, the storyline son of his friend plunge off a roof to his probable doom. No, Eric, you don't ask Heenan to call the next match in this situation. You call the match and say, Bobby, go backstage and take the time you need.
Yeah, right.
I'm just saying, if you're going to have that be part of the storyline, have it be part of the storyline. Everyone needs to act like this is a thing that Heenan managed Andre and this is Andre's son, not just Heenan.
That's fair, actually. I didn't think of that, but yeah, it's a good point.
Also, we're heading right to the next match.
Yeah.
Look, obviously this isn't real.
Yeah.
But the point of wrestling is to act like what is fake is real. or at least to an extent, right?
Yeah.
You would think they would say, pause the show for a bit, figure out what happened, get word on the Giant, something like that. If they're going to do this story, it should impact the show beyond itself.
Mhm.
This is a pay-per-view, so you probably shouldn't have a storyline disrupt things too much. Don't go like with the big NWO backstage assault on Nitro in mid-1996 that we covered before, that level of disruption. But maybe just at least like Luger and Savage are shown backstage talking with other wrestlers and not willing to come out for their match until they check on what's going on.
Yeah.
Some acknowledgement that people beyond the people on the rooftop care about what happened here.
Yeah. They seem to be unaware of what happened. This is odd.
Yeah. You probably just shouldn't do this sort of angle, suggesting someone died as a big bridge to cross, and it adds all sorts of implications wrestling is not very good at exploring.
No.
But if you're going to do it, at least have it mean something to the show. There's a lot of wrestling angles that can be fully self-contained. This is not one of them.
Exactly, yeah.
So our 8th match is the Total Package, Lex Luger, versus the Macho Man, Randy Savage. The referee for this is Nick Patrick. Our commentary team is back to Tony and Heenan. As Luger enters, Heenan criticizes Hogan, and Tony tells the man grieving the possible loss of the storyline son of his friend to get off his soapbox. I'm going to be honest with you. We may not have a world title match, Tony says. You think?
And that's what you're grieving, not the person.
Yeah. As Savage enters, Heenan asks if it was worth it. Tony says no, but defends Hogan as running for help immediately. Heenan, sensibly, asks how Savage and Luger can have a match with this on everyone's minds. Meanwhile, Randy Savage slaps hands with the fans like he always does.
Yeah.
Luger offers a handshake, but Savage kicks him and rams him into the turnbuckle, but Luger clotheslines him and returns in kind. Heenan reports, distressed, that no cameras are being allowed outside. Jimmy Hart comes down to ringside looking serious, and Luger stomps the crap out of Savage and sells it himself. Luger continues to dominate, and a pained Savage even takes a swing at Nick Patrick. Still talking about the Giant, Heenan asks how he can go do Nitro tomorrow. Well, you have to, Brain. It's your job, says Tony to the grieving man.
Bereavement isn't a thing, I guess.
I guess not. Savage fights back with punches for some terrific Luger selling, but Luger pokes him in the eyes and sells that too.
Mm-hmm.
Tony tries to get word from backstage, and Heenan complains about the lack of information. Considering Tony's stories about actual information failings in WSW, I kind of wonder if this was them taking the chance to say in character what they've always wanted to say out of character.
It's very possible, yeah.
Fighting outside, Savage blocks a barricade ram and runs Luger into barricades and the steps for more wonderful Luger selling. Tony says, aside from what happened to the Giant, the monster truck match was incredible. He says this, again, to the man who was buddies with Giant storyline father.
Yeah.
It's very much but aside from that, how was the theater, Miss Lincoln?
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Back in, Savage builds to a top rope double axe handle, but Luger punches him out of the air, then gets a knee up on the charge, and pins with his feet on the ropes. But Hart is conversing with Patrick, so no count. Savage reverses a Luger whip and sends Luger at them, and Patrick dodges, but Luger collides with Hart, knocks him off the apron, and falls to the mat. Savage goes up top and hits the big elbow for the 3 count and the win. Savage celebrates with the fans, including Hogan Guy, but also takes a fan's sign that reads, Macho, Lex can't beat you, and chucks it. I can only assume that he thought it said can instead of can't.
Yeah.
The replay shows Lex pretty clearly shielding his head and deliberately moving into position to knock heads with Hart, so Heenan covers by saying he tried to defend himself and still got stunned. Thoughts on this one?
I think that's pretty good, but I guess I was hoping for more from it, if I'm being honest.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the thing with Savage. At some point during this year, being 1995, he got a legit injury, something with his elbow, or they never clarified the exact extent of it. Instead of taking time off, I don't know if he didn't want to, or they wouldn't let him, he just wraps that thing like a mummy, foreshadowing.
Yes.
And wrestles constantly. He wrestled Kurosawa on the Go of Nitro. It's pretty clear that because he's hurt, his matches are all just him getting a advantage early on, then get beaten up, and then if he's going to win, then he wins. Escape something, dodge something, and then elbow drop win with the good elbow. You see it twice on this show. You see it at Starrcade with his match with, who's playing his name now?
Shoot, yeah. Is it Tenzin?
Rishi Tenzan, yeah. I do enjoy that match, but it's definitely a case of, look, I can't do a lot because I can't really do a lot with this arm, clearly.
Mm-hmm.
So turn this match into you beat me up, and then if I win, again, I'll dodge something, elbow drop, win. So it really affects his matches. I don't know if he just felt like he couldn't leave. Maybe the pay per show was too good. I'm sure he got some guaranteed money.
Yeah, I just felt like for this angle, he needed to be there or something. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I know this show we'll cover in a while where they reference the dirt sheet saying he's injured, and they go, I'm not injured.
I believe that's World War III, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. And he clearly is still very much injured.
Mm-hmm.
That arm is still wrapped up heavily. So it's a shame because I love Randy Savage. I love watching his matches. I still get some enjoyment out of some of these matches, like the Denson match. But once I figured out what's happening, and I'm pretty sure I know why, it's kind of depressing.
Mm-hmm.
I will say I do enjoy Luger selling.
Yes.
He seems more over the top in this match for some reason. It's like he's compensating. I don't know. Otherwise, the actual match itself is a lot of punching, kicking, clotheslines, and then, elbow drop.
Yeah.
I think these two, with them both healthy and with the good story, can have a really good match. I don't think we got it here, unfortunately.
This was a short, mostly brawling match. Not much complexity or heavy storytelling here. Fair enough, as the commentary team spent a lot of time talking about Giant's Fall anyway. It's unfortunate that WCW put those events in that order because they distract from each other.
Yeah.
And let's remember that both events are things that the entire show have been building up to quite heavily. By combining the aftermath of one with the other, WCW ended up lessening the effectiveness of both.
Yeah.
But even without that distraction, this is not the match I was hoping for after all that buildup. It's too short, and while it does involve some strong hits, it's not a brutal brawl or all that fast and intense. So it doesn't really pay off the buildup and storytelling leading up to it. It feels more like the two said, well, Sting arranged this thing where we would fight, and I guess I don't really like you, so I might as well slug you hard a few times, whatever. More than that, it's a really intense rivalry.
Yeah.
When you explained it earlier on the show, it's that these two want to fight, but Sting told them they had to fight the Dungeon of Doom first so that he got some actual, productive work out of them, basically.
Pretty much, yeah.
But how this feels like is the exact opposite. Like, they wanted to fight the Dungeon of Doom guys, and Sting told them, well, you can fight them, but then you need to fight each other. And they don't really want to do that, but they also don't like each other that much.
Yeah.
The emotion of this match is backwards, kind of.
Yeah, the emotion comes out in the promos and, the way they look at each other.
100%, yeah.
But yeah, it's just to your point, the way that match plays out is not really that same thing.
No, yeah.
Well, I was thinking about it too. So, my whole thing about how they seemingly have to book Savage's match a certain way. Why did you book him in the short match and then Luger in the long match? It's backwards.
Have him have a longer match against Zodiac. Not that we want that.
No.
And then have that be the excuse for why Luger gets to beat him up quite easily in this match, basically, yeah.
Yeah, because the way it plays out ultimately on the show is Savage gets a pretty easy win. Luger has he takes the finisher and he works a long time, but then he controls the whole match up until the end, pretty much. You typically wrote yourself into this corner that you had no reason to do. I think you didn't even switch participants. You could have had Lex booked against Kamala / Zodiac, and then Savage gets beat up for 10 minutes by Ming and gets an elbow drop pinfall or however it plays out.
Yep. I think maybe the reason is that they wanted to have a little bit of that, Meng doesn't necessarily agree with what Sullivan is doing, and it's harder to do that with Zodiac, who is the quintessential yes man.
No. I had to do one more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
This was like a Nitro match to me, not a pay-per-view match with a build-up.
Yeah. So obviously, this didn't really settle things. There's also still the underlying question of why Jimmy Hart came out. In the commentators seem confused about that.
Yeah.
This whole thing is not settled, so the event will lead to another match between these two at World War III.
Heenan is still agitated, asking for someone to get a walkie-talkie or try to get outside. Tony gets a message, but only to tell him that Michael Buffer is coming to the ring. Heenan, upset, shouts about not having news and wants someone to go outside and find out what happened. He criticizes Tony for not going to find out, and finally gets up and walks out to find out himself, and Tony says that's the best thing that happened to him tonight. Tony reviews the situation, and Heenan returns, explaining that there were 500 people standing in the doorway, and it would have taken hours to get outside. He rants about their inability to get answers from 50 feet away in a time when people can communicate with astronauts in space. Tony snarks about Heenan applying for a producer job, and Heenan finally directly confronts Tony with Heenan's history with Andre. And Tony throws to a video of the Monster Truck match and aftermath earlier in the night. Guys, either use Heenan's connection to Andre or just drop that part, okay?
Please, yes.
Tony and Heenan debate Hogan's actions in the video. Heenan claiming that Hogan threw Giant off the roof on purpose and then acted like he cared, while Tony sells it as self-defense and a genuine attempt to summon help. Broken, Heenan literally gets down on his knees and begs for news. He accuses Tony of not caring, and Tony, offended, insists that he does. But Heenan says he's sticking up for people who won't tell them anything, and the reason they won't is because the news must be bad. Tony admits that it could be. Heenan is putting on a terrific emotional performance here, and it's just kind of wasted on how the rest of this show is treating this angle.
Yeah.
For Tony's part, I'm sure he's got people in his ear telling him how to promote the match or to throw the video or stuff, and it's just like not lining up timing-wise for him to more fully engage with Heenan. But he really needed to change how he interacted with Heenan post-rooftop incident. He mostly comes off as outright mean to a genuinely worried man, and I don't think that's the intent.
He's acting like Heenan is just all he cares because Giant's a bad guy, wants Hogan, defeat him. He's acting like Heenan is disingenuous about the whole thing, and which makes him be that way.
Yeah, he's acting like this is a totally normal angle, and Heenan's just taking the heel side in it.
Yeah.
Where what this is, to what both of them in character know at this moment, what this is a man possibly died.
Yeah.
And it's a man that Heenan at least knew the father of. It's unclear whether he's supposed to have known Giant growing up or anything. But at the very least, he knew Andre. And this is Andre's kid in storyline. So I think no one quite thought through how this should be handled. If you're doing Heenan is legitimately upset because a person that he knew the family of and was great friends with the family of is potentially dead, you have an opportunity here to change the way that Tony and Heenan interact for this show, and I think do it in some interesting ways.
Sure.
And they can do that. We know they can do that because in mid-1996, there's all sorts of stuff all over the place on the early NWO angle where Tony and Heenan are actively agreeing with each other and friendly to each other, not 100% of the time, but they'll get to points of agreement and be on each other's sides. It's a shame that they kind of missed the opportunity to do that here. So our final match, at last.
I know.
I shudder to look at the time for this episode. Our final match is Hulk Hogan with Jimmy Hart versus, hopefully the Giant.
Yeah.
With Kevin Sullivan, presumably.
Maybe.
For Hogan's WCW World Heavyweight Championship. The referee for this is Randy Anderson. Michael Buffer does the ring introductions. The crowd, clearly not buying Giant's possible demise one bit, cheers in full expectation of seeing a match. Also, okay, genuinely, if no one knows if Giant is even alive, would you really start the match introductions?
I would think not, no.
I mean, I can see Hogan coming out and maybe starting a promo or something to tell his side of the story, but no company would ever do this.
No.
No company, unaware if a wrestler was even alive, would go ahead and start the match intros and just kind of hope that he shows up for it.
No, yeah, absolutely.
So either in storyline, WCW is the dumbest company in the universe, plausible.
Yeah.
Or in storyline, the producers do know that Giant is alive and just refuse to tell Tony and Heenan.
Yeah.
Also plausible.
And Hogan, apparently, as well.
Yes, true. Buffer even starts to announce the Giant first.
Yeah. There's been a change.
Yeah, he's informed there's a change. And Hogan comes out first. Still with his theme song and pyro.
Yeah.
And with Jimmy Hart holding up the title belt to show it off. None of which would happen if this were real.
No.
Hogan at least does look somber and doesn't do his usual routine at all. Buffer calls him the King of Hulk Mania.
Yeah.
I don't know why he can't get that right.
I don't know.
Hogan gestures for the crowd to quiet and to cut his music, which, yeah. He gets a microphone and says what just happened wasn't supposed to go down, and he didn't want Giant to take the plunge. It was a terrible accident, and he apologizes. He fits several more brothers in there, but you get the idea. He starts to say when he last saw the Giant, but then he's cut off by the Dungeon of Doom theme. And Giant just walks out.
Yeah.
He's accompanied by Kevin Sullivan, and he does look angry, but he looks completely unharmed.
Mm-hmm.
Hogan looks shocked. I'm shocked too.
Yeah.
Does the Giant have the luck powers from that one X-Files episode?
I was wondering if you mentioned that. I was thinking that too, actually. Yeah. Yeah, what's that recently?
Where my mind went immediately, yeah. Buffer gives us his let's get ready to rumble as Heenan says he doesn't understand, and Tony can only say Giant must be superhuman.
I honestly wish that it'd be silly, but it's in theme with this. I think you start to see in modern wrestling, they call like the chase cam, where the camera kind of runs somewhere quickly, just catch an event. So like cut to the back and you hear a commotion. The chase cam, he runs towards the back door, to where the parking lot is. They look down and there's like a giant shaped indentation, like the pavement, like a cartoon.
You might as well.
And then the music plays, yeah.
Or like have him like burst in the back door of the arena and he's soaking wet.
Yes.
To like sell that he fell into the river and managed to survive that way or something, and he's just gotten back to shore. Oh my gosh. Hogan exits the ring as Giant enters, and he looks confused and scared as Giant beckons to him. Hogan doesn't get in until the ref makes Giant back away, kind of shades of NWO Hogan there.
Yeah.
Heenan finally theorizes that maybe the roof was layered and Giant just landed on the ledge a short way down. Or maybe landed on a car or truck. Heenan, I was with you until that last one.
Hey, I saw a Fast and Furious film. That's pretty much like landing on a bed. Who walked that off,
Anyway, he is glad that Giant is here and, alive.
Yeah.
Hogan, recognizing he's no longer up for possible involuntary manslaughter charges, tears his shirt, revealing a second shirt beneath, and then removes his bandana to show that he has Taskmaster's symbols on his forehead.
Also, just a quick note, he made a point of not wearing red and yellow. He's gone to the dark side. The shirt he's wearing has him in the red and yellow on it. It's like a drawing of him or picture of him wearing his red and yellow.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't think I realized that, but yeah.
I'm not wearing this, brother. I'm wearing the shirt with me wearing this. Much different, Brother Jack.
Giant, confused, charges Hogan, who dodges, shoves him to the turnbuckle, and completely fails to knock him down with charging punches. Uncertain now, Hogan tries a slam but can't lift Giant, and Giant batters him around the ring, including double axe handles and a back rake, with Hogan wearing a shirt.
It's a massage, really, at that point.
Giant big boots Hogan, chokes him, and works a knuckle lock as Hogan admits that Giant is too strong for him. Hogan does manage to make it to his feet, but Giant goes for a suplex, but gets the grip wrong, and Hogan appears to subtly veto it.
Yeah.
With Giant slamming him instead.
Yes.
Hogan dodges a Giant leg drop and briefly comes back, including punches and back rakes, somehow, despite wearing gloves.
Yeah.
But he can't knock Giant down. He finally does knock him out of the ring over the ropes with a clothesline. In one of the funniest spots of the night, Hogan pursues a retreating Giant and Taskmaster and tries a double noggin knocker, but Sullivan's head only reaches Giant's ribcage.
Yeah, I thought that too.
That was the funniest thing.
It was pretty good.
Back in, Hogan still can't fell the Giant, and Giant counters a whip with a backbreaker for 2, then starts the bear hugs.
Mm-hmm.
Hogan forgets his arms work for a while, then suddenly remembers and punches free. Giant goes back to the bear hug, and Hogan forgets he can punch again, until after Patrick checks the arm and he keeps it up on the 3rd try. I hate bear hugs. Hogan starts a comeback, but Giant stops that dead with a choke slam for 2, as Hogan even presses him off. Hogan no-sells Giant's kicks. You! Block, punch, 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 big boot, Giant staggers unconvincingly, Hogan slams Giant, leg drop, but Jimmy Hart, mostly off camera, sneakily hits Anderson with the title belt. Hogan, confused why there's no count, asks Hart what happened and gets Hart to help him help Anderson up. Hogan turns to the Giant, and Hart immediately shoves Anderson down and nails Hogan with the title belt. Okay, that was funny as heck.
Yeah.
Love how he just shoves him down. It's great.
Get out of the way.
Hogan is briefly stunned, but then rounds on Hart. But the Giant, revived, grabs Hogan in a bear hug, and Sullivan comes in and lands punches to Hogan's ribs. Hart calls for help, and Luger and Savage run down the ramp, but Hart hits Savage from behind with the title belt, having to chase the very fast Savage across the ring to do it.
Yeah.
The Yeti, or Yet-A as Tony calls it.
The Yeti.
Which is a mummy, apparently, because no one at WSW had any idea what a Yeti was or had ever heard of a book.
No.
Comes lumbering down the ramp. Luger, stomps the crap out of Savage, indicating that he is with the dungeon as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, again, very NWO here.
Yeah.
Oh, this guy's suddenly allied with them. He didn't even need a t-shirt for it.
That's true, yeah.
The Yeti bear hugs Hogan from behind, while Giant has him from the front. Yeti vibrates in such a way as to make that look uncomfortably suggestive. I'm not alone in reading it that way, right?
Oh, no.
Okay. Just making sure.
Generally, when people describe this moment, they refer to the Yeti dry humping Hulk Hogan. That is the official summary by most people of this segment.
It's really a disturbing look, yeah.
Basically, Giant is pressed up against Hogan's stomach with his arms out, like, over Hogan. So, the Yeti, aka Ron Reese, who we'll later see, he has nowhere he can't go anywhere. So he stands behind him with the extra padding. He's a little taller than Giant. So all he can really do is be behind Hogan and stick his other arms, like, out over the Giant's arms.
Yeah.
They're like elevator doors trying to slowly close on you, is what it is.
Yeah. But he then decides to do this to emphasize it, yeah.
He's like, I gotta do something, right? I'll just wiggle my hips a little bit, like I'm motion, because there gotta be some sort of motion.
It's like, I have to do something, so I'll do the worst possible thing in this situation.
Yeah. I'll be fair and say he does not have a lot of options here, but he still picked the wrong option.
Yeah. Hogan collapses, and Yeti decides to do a Frankenstein walk because that's what Yetis do, right?
Yeah.
Luger puts Hogan in the torture rack. Yeti and Giant do their double bear hug to Savage. Then Luger puts him in the much more dignified torture rack.
I don't know if it's maybe just being tired, but I noticed that Luger got Giant to help him lift Savage up there as well.
It could have been tiredness, or it could have been just like, hey, how do we make this look like a team thing?
Yeah, that's fair too. It's just weird seeing him seemingly need help to lift somebody up for that all of a sudden.
Hart jumps excitedly. I guess this does also give us one other thing that's technically gained from Flair's betrayal of Sting earlier, and that's that Sting doesn't come out to help Hogan here.
Oh, yeah, I guess so.
But I don't think it's until later that the Four Horsemen and the Dungeon of Doom really become allies. In fact, they're enemies for a large portion of the next few months.
Yeah.
At the same time, I'm sure that Flair wouldn't, cry at all over Hogan getting beat up, so.
Oh, no, not at all.
Buffer announces that Giant is the winner due to Hart's interference, since Hart was Hogan's manager, but the belt can't change hands on disqualification. Giant takes the belt anyway because he's the Giant, and who's going to argue with him?
I mean, he rolled a nat 20 on a death save. You don't mess with that guy.
This is fair, yeah. Even the replay angle barely shows Hart hitting Anderson with the belt. Good job, WCW.
Yeah.
Thoughts on this one?
Oh boy, okay, where to go? Okay, the actual match. It's very slow and very plotting for me. It's a lot of basic strikes, a body slam or two, back rake on a guy wearing a shirt, or then back rake by a guy wearing gloves. As we talked before, depending on where you source this is either Giant's second match or maybe his third. There's talk that they taped some stuff for Saturday night and Big Main Event as the show that just hadn't aired yet, because they have B-roll of him beating guys in the ring that aren't Savage or Hogan. So I think he filmed some of that stuff, and they just hadn't run it yet. But even still, even assuming that happened, and there's another match that's just not talked about because of the weird airing order, it's still his third match. And here he is. He's come up doing a promo and looking good, trying to make a monster truck sumo match look good, trying his best, and then wrestling, a guy who probably was legit, I think he said was one of his childhood heroes, because he's in his 20s, and Hogan's been a famous face for over a decade and a half probably at this point, depending on which territory you saw him. Was it 1981? Is that AWA show we covered?
Early 80s, at least.
So young Paul White / the Giant is seeing him and want to idolize him and stuff like that. So now you're fighting this guy with even a smaller audience, still a big audience watching. It's a lot of nerves.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That's why you see the bit where he tries to do the suplex. He has the placement wrong. Hogan clearly says, no, don't do that to him. You don't hear it, but just tell.
To their credit as well, they cover that really well. Like, Hogan makes it look like he escaped.
Yeah.
But has clearly told Giant, I don't think you quite got that, but I bet you can do a slam on me. And Giant just goes for the slam instead. If you don't catch that brief moment of Giant, getting the grip a little bit wrong, then it's hard to see that as what actually happened. So they did a good job with it, I think.
That's fair, yeah. The thing is, again, this is Giant's second or third match. Big audience, lots of stakes. Hogan has no excuse for how this match plays out. He's so bad. It's just all generic Hogan nonsense. Only thing he really does of interest until his finish is, finally slamming the Giant. I mean, yeah, cool, you could do that. Can you make anything else more interesting? You're clearly calling this match. You're calling this match with this guy, and you do nothing to make him look good. That or you legitimately thought this is what people love. Really basic offense, all my usual shtick. Just call all the same spots. Oh, and don't worry, remember how you build up how you're going to chokeslam me and kill me, and you possibly broke my neck a couple different times and never healed? I'm going to kick out at 2 with authority and hook up from your finish. Because that's what I do.
Fair enough on that, yeah.
If you're not going to go down for the chokeslam, and obviously you're not because you're Hogan in 1995, just don't let him do the chokeslam. Counter it and then do other stuff. You just killed his finish.
Or have an excuse for it, like something happens that distracts him, or at the very least, like maybe he gets overconfident with it and you're lying dead on the mat for quite a while.
Yeah.
And then he decides to pin you as he's like taunting the crowd and be like, aha, Hulkamania is over. Like, yeah, there's ways that you can do it where you still get to kick out of it, but you give an excuse, and they didn't give an excuse here.
Yeah. They go into this match with the absurd thing that the Giant's like invincible, apparently.
Yes.
But by the halfway point, oh no, he's got to run away from me now. What? It's all stuff that made sense to him at the time because he'd done it like 1,000 times. That's honestly not hyperbole at this point in his career. So it's a shame that, given a chance with this pure natural athlete, this guy who's clearly taken to the sport very quickly in a limited time. And it was all the same stuff, don't worry. Then, of course, the finish. I guess he's like, well, Giant, we wrote it so you apparently can't be killed. But you are about to lose to a leg drop. Just go with it. So I need my manager to betray me. And then we got to work some nonsense I'll discuss in a second about how somehow this actually works in our favor. Okay, so again, the Giant is your big new feature attraction. Your diamond in the rough. Your gem to polish and make shine. Let's bring in another guy who's technically bigger than him.
On the bright side, he sucks, so it won't be any danger to the Giant. But yeah.
Yeah, but they don't know that.
I think they should have known that.
Yeah. There's more to the Yeti thing as well.
I'd like to think that Giant was a little bit worried, and then he saw that costume for the first time backstage. He was like, I'm going to be fine.
Yeah, that's fair. It's disappointing because it could be some more interesting. You have this guy like the Giant, and no, where it's usual Hogan nonsense, and then we're going to throw 18 things at the end. We're going to have the betrayal by Jimmy Hart, Luger's turn, and also this Yeti comes out, and then we're going to have a prolonged section, and then it's going to leave. Bear in mind, we've already covered one Hogan Giant match. I'm not expecting a lot. But something else, please. Please.
I have a little bit better view of this match, I think. Not in that I think it's good.
No, I got you. It's okay.
I think I'm a little bit more willing to excuse some parts of it and maybe have a slightly different view on parts of it. So this will be interesting.
Okay.
Obviously, I'm definitely grading this on a bit of a curve because this is Giant's second or third pro wrestling match ever. It's very early in his career in any case.
Yeah.
So it is slow. It is somewhat repetitive. It's not very complex. It features some fairly lengthy holds where nothing much happens. But at this point, Giant pretty clearly doesn't know how to do much more in the ring safely yet.
Yeah.
He will learn very quickly, but as the suplex spot demonstrates, he at least doesn't have things down reliably enough that he can do them if he gets flustered. So they built the match somewhat around his limitations, and I can at least credit them for putting together something reasonably coherent. Your criticism about the finish and about the midpoint where they try and flee is certainly taken. I agree with those points.
Yeah.
But I think credit to them for being able to put together a coherent match storyline with someone who is extremely new to the sport.
Yeah, I get you.
It is ultimately a cooperative thing that Hogan knows more that he can do. And I certainly take your point that he could do more of that stuff, but also he needs Giant to know how to handle those things as well. So there is ultimately a limitation on there.
I get that, yeah.
What he does, Giant does extremely well.
Mm-hmm.
I think the point where I will disagree with you somewhat is I feel that Hogan actually does a good job of making him look big and powerful and strong. He spends most of the match pretty clearly on the back foot. He's unable to even knock Giant down. I think the point where Giant does fall down when he gets knocked over the ropes might be an accident.
Mhm.
Giant was maybe supposed to actually do the Undertaker land on your feet thing and just like lost his balance. But either way, it didn't detract from Hogan not actually getting to fell the Giant. I don't believe he ever actually knocks him off his feet for the entire match till the slam.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
And several of Hogan's comebacks just don't work, basically.
Yeah.
So while this doesn't entirely divert from the Hogan formula, we do get there at the end. It at least evolves it somewhat for such a big, powerful opponent.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think the character work is also quite strong. Giant nails his big, powerful, scary role, and he looks like he's playing with his food at certain points. And I appreciated that Hogan reacted with uncertainty, hesitation, and fear, and even played up his late match confidence with some more caution than normal, before the inevitable Hulk up at least. The Hulk up does go back into the Hogan formula fully, and I agree with you that I don't think they should, but we generally feel that with Hogan, that there's more you could do with his endings than they do. This match is unfortunately no exception to that.
Yeah.
It's pretty much standard Hogan before the Hart turn. I did like him incorporating the slam as part of the sequence, so that was a nice little bit of variety there. Hart's actual turn is a weird idea and one of many debatable applications of disqualification rules tonight, as even if Hart is Hogan's manager and hit the ref, it doesn't make a heck of a lot of sense to disqualify Hogan for it when it was done to stop Hogan's pinfall on the Giant from counting. The performance of it was so funny, though.
Yeah.
I loved Hart's innocent act and then immediate shove of Anderson the moment he was in the clear. In the end, it accomplishes its goal. Whether you feel like this should be the goal or not is up for debate, but it accomplishes the goal of getting out of this without either Hogan or Giant being pinned. I think it would have been cooler if Hart's interference did lead to a Hogan pinfall loss. He'd have an excuse still.
Yeah.
But aside from the usual reasons, that's unlikely. I'm not sure WCW was quite ready to really put their title on the Giant yet. After a brief bit that we'll discuss shortly, he would eventually get it for real in April. I feel like he's close to them feeling like you're reliable enough that we can do this, but maybe they want him to have more than 2 or 3 matches first.
Yeah.
Normally, I would call this a below average or even poor match, but considering the inexperience of one of the competitors and kind of the constraints that they have, and adding in the good character work, I'd go up to okay to slightly below average. So I don't think this is good.
No, I gotcha, yeah.
But I don't think it's like an absolute disaster by any stretch of the imagination. It's a middling to poor match that is redeemed somewhat by the circumstances.
Yeah. No, I agree. Hogan does make Giant look strong in the build-up. It's just, eventually he still has to be Hogan.
Yeah.
The Hulk up, kick out, kill the chokeslam thing bothers me more because this guy is so new.
Yes, I will agree with that. This is not the point where you should be taking and demonstrating that his finisher doesn't work on you, at least not without a massive excuse.
Exactly, yeah. Hulking out and kicking up out of Flair like last show. I'm not really bothered by that because it's Flair, 1994, yeah, it's okay. But you killed so much of Giant's mystique, but don't worry, I beat him. I was going to for the ref tried to back up towards the ropes for some reason. And I will say too, like a lot of Hogan matches, or some of these main event matches, which we view and I objectively will say, this is terrible because of work rate, all these things. The crowd pops used for like every big Hogan spot. So, shows what I know, I guess.
He was popular. He genuinely was a popular wrestler. And in any situation, Hogan is extremely charismatic.
Yeah.
The act does work. It's just, there's always a wonder of like, could you have done more with it? This is one of those matches that maybe shows that you could have, or that you had the opportunity to do some interesting stuff. Like Hogan getting that big of a reaction from the crowd. Imagine what the reaction would have been if he lost.
Yeah.
And again, maybe this isn't the point to do that because you're not sure what Giant can do if you put him in solo matches against less experienced guys or stuff. But just, it's an interesting thing to consider. Like if Hart's interference there hadn't gotten Hogan disqualified, but it actually had Hogan opened up for a pinfall, the reaction might have been monumental.
Yeah, Hogan, even at this point, 1995, he's like a classic band like the Beach Boys, right, as an example. When you see them as a teenager or young kid, you'd see the Beach Boys. They'd perform it. Oh, this is great. And you see them again and again and again throughout the years. And after you see them for 20 years, you're like, you know, this is a good show. They do the songs I like, but they only do the songs I like. They don't have new material. They don't have like let's do a different version of this song. It's just, you go to this knowing you're going to get this exact thing no variation or no major variation.
And the difference between Hogan and that is that you're watching Hogan do this every night.
Yes, exactly.
Where the Beach Boys concert, you might go to it after several years of you not watching a concert. You might have been listening to the songs or something, but you're not seeing them live in concert all the time.
They don't host a TV show that you're watching them do the same performances week in, week out. Exactly, yeah. Oh, and lastly, the Yeti is everything that was promised.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's just so stupid. It's so wonderfully stupid.
Oh, yeah. On the following Nitro, we get an explanation for what happened. Newly healed Jimmy Hart explains that Hogan, didn't care about him, didn't need him, so he was going to go to people that cared about him and wanted him. The Dungeon of Doom. He also explained it that he amended the match contract before the show, which stated that if Hogan lost via disqualification, the title would change hands. So therefore, him as Hogan's manager, he attacked the referee, which means Hogan was disqualified, which means the title goes to the Giant.
You know you've got a good wrestling angle when it all hinges on a legal document.
Yeah, exactly. There's a couple instances like that in WCW. I changed the match contract. Just weird. I've covered at least one more. We do get a brief Giant title run, technically. On the next Nitro before things change, he does defend the title against Cobra in about a minute. He just hits him and chokeslams him. But technically, he defends the WCW title as champion.
This is fair, yeah.
The title is then declared vacant because of, everything that happened. I mean, realistically, once the Yeti dry humps the champion, just start over.
End the company. Just start a new company. This is irredeemable, right?
Yeah. We'll start from scratch. Yeah, so now the title is vacant, and instead of WCW World War III being for a title shot, is now for the vacant World Championship. Because no company could put the world title online into Battle Royal, except WWF 1992 Royal Rumble.
Yep. As Ric Flair, who was there, can tell you.
And called by Bobby Heenan, who also called this show.
Oh my gosh.
I did, for the record, not to defend Ron Reese that much, because I've seen him outside of being the Yeti. They had long-term plans, believe it or not, for the Yeti. However, they were not finalized. The plan was the third Giant to be revealed properly in World War III was going to be our old pal El Gigante.
That's what I'd heard, yeah.
But he was not available for this show, but they still had plans in line for him. So, as a stopgap, okay, well, let's get another tall guy, wrap him in mummy robes, and tell him to basically act and walk like El Gigante, which, hey, he nailed it.
Yeah.
Arms up like a Frankenstein monster, 100%. Terrible selling, all of that.
Yep.
So, as not great as Ron Reese is, at least in this point, he's trying to act like El Gigante, which isn't good, but is an explanation.
Yeah, and that explains to some extent why the Yeti is a mummy. Probably their idea is that he's going to come back in and maybe be called the Yeti again, but they need to hide that this isn't him.
Correct, yeah. They got to retrofit his character from WWF somehow.
The fact that they wrapped this guy up backstage and didn't immediately think, we should just not do this.
Yeah.
Let's not do this. This is really dumb.
Yeah.
This looks horrible.
Mm-hmm.
WCW as a company needs more moments, I think, where they try something backstage and then they pause and they actually think about what they just did.
Yeah.
The company might still be around if they had done that more.
It's possible, yeah. Well, remember, they had two chances here because they technically did put him in the full gear for that Nitro.
Yeah, he burst out of the ice on Nitro, yeah.
Yeah, so he was made up fully for that. So they did that once, and then they're like, yeah, let's do that again. So they had to rewrap him a second time.
Yeah, they did this twice.
Would have done a third time if things hadn't changed.
Goodness. Hogan, Savage, and Anderson slowly recover in the ring, and the trainer comes to help them. Tony and Bobby discuss the match, and Tony says that Hogan fought hard, but the men he thought were his friends turned his back on him. Heenan notes that Hogan and Savage are still laid out in the ring and applauds that. Tony sets up Nitro and says they hope to have some answers. He says Hogan is still the champ. That will, as Al noted, change on Nitro.
Mm-hmm.
We cut back to ringside, where the battered Hogan checks on Savage and can be heard telling Savage about Hart. Tony signs off, Heenan says he's exhausted, and we get credits over spooky graphics. And Halloween Havoc 1995 is done. So overall thoughts on Halloween Havoc 1995?
It's an interesting show. There's legitimately some good action on the show. I do like the general atmosphere they at least set up. The problem is they spend so much time on the Hogan, Dungeon of Doom, Monster Truck stuff that you can't really escape it. It's not like there's a show where there's a bad main event or some bad story involving mid event. You can go, okay, yeah, but let's watch, Rey Mysterio and so wrestle, or I can watch this Harlem Heat match or something like that. And then, oh, right, this is the story we're going with for the end. I can't escape this. I'd say it's a recommend this if you just love the absurdity of the Dungeon of Doom and really just sit through a Monster Truck Sumo match and all the shenanigans around it. There's some weird repetition, like the fact that arguably the finish to the Luger, Ming, and then the Giant Hogan match are very similar, just kind of reversed a little bit. And lots of betrayals tonight really make you question people in your life after you watch the show.
Don't worry, Al, you can trust me.
Oh.
You can trust me.
Great. Yes. But no, I think there are generally some high points to the show. It's an interesting show, right? So we can spend quite a while talking about just how well they did the Flair, Sting, Horseman stuff. And then spent on the same show so much time ragging on the Dungeon of Doom nonsense. They don't exist in a vacuum. This is all one show.
Yes.
Take the good with the bad. I wish you get some boring stuff or something that's just disappointing, but it's nothing really, really terrible, honestly. There are shows with more dramatic, positive, negative leaps and drops, I guess you could say. For better or worse, it's a very memorable show, which is testament to the fact that the WWE uploaded to their YouTube channel and said, hey, you should watch this crazy show. Again, it's a 10 to recommend. There's a lot of people you like on this show, but there's a lot of nonsense. If you're either going to go, okay, this is crazy, I love it, or you're going to go, oh, this is stupid. There is no middle ground on most of this show.
Objectively, this was a middling to poor show. 9 matches, if you count the Monster Truck match, but over half of them were about 5 minutes or less, far less in the case of Savage versus Zodiac. It's not that there were many that were outright bad, it's just that only like a couple of them, Bad versus Page and Sting and Flair versus Arn and Pillman, stood out as particularly good. The rest were either acceptable but longer than their content really needed, acceptable but far too short, or not acceptable.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate because story-wise, things do matter on this show quite a great deal. We get a title change with Bad versus Page, the revival of the Four Horsemen with Flair turning on Sting, a major shift in alignment with Luger and Hart turning on Hogan, and the first in-ring appearance of a dominant force in the Giant. But much of the show comes off as underwhelming, in part because it crams so much together towards the end of the show that angles get lost or just seem welded together in haphazard fashion. In particular, the Luger Savage match and the Giant Hogan events battle for attention, and it cost them both. So the matches were mostly just kind of there, and yet this is a tremendously fun show to watch. Why? Because everything else going on is just so bonkers insane.
Yeah.
The storylines are crazy, the gimmicks are bizarre, the wrestlers are in weird moods. The list goes on. There's a mummy who tries to put the moves on Hogan.
Yeah.
Hogan drives a monster truck with big arms on it. Flair hits somebody with a loafer.
Yeah.
Flair and Sting yell to each other like it's the closing minutes of a big Hollywood disaster film and maybe they're in love.
Yeah. Sure.
A crazy wizard yells nonsense from a stone throne and his lead cultist talks about monster trucks.
Oh, yeah?
This show cannot make sense, and I love it for that.
Yeah.
Taken objectively, this is flat out stupid, but I've spent most of the show grinning.
Yeah, it's fair.
The promo work tonight was fun, often ridiculous and sometimes disorganized or clumsily delivered, but fun. There's some level of mistake or confusion in almost every promo segment, and some promos just are mistakes. Let's tie together mysticism and monster trucks.
Yeah.
But the promos were still fun to watch. Honestly, the weirder things went, the better for this show. The biggest flubs or strangest moments, your mustache is crooked, are some of the most memorable and beloved parts of this whole show. As for commentary, Tony and Bobby had a bit of an uneven performance tonight, as the sheer weight of all the story content they had to get across kind of got in the way of them being able to give things proper time and react properly to everything. They did their best, but sometimes there was just too much going on. And let's face it, some of the stuff they had to get across was stuff that no one could get across sensibly.
Yeah.
There's going to be a monster truck match. Yes, really, stop laughing.
Yeah.
There's a mummy called a Yeti, and we're supposed to be scared of it. Giant fell off a roof and just kind of survived somehow.
Yeah.
I do have to call out both Tony and Eric for some of their choices in how to interact with Heenan tonight. Both stuck with largely adversarial reactions as usual to him, which normally works fine, but given the storyline WCW had inadvisably set up about Giant being the son of Andre the Giant and Heenan's longtime relationship with Andre, this would have been a great night to let the face-heel dynamic slide and have one or both be more sympathetic to Heenan for his worries after Giant's fall. Rather than coming off as good guys getting one over on the heel commentator, they often came out as outright mean to a scared and worried man.
Yeah.
Heenan did a terrific job putting opportunities out there to interact in a different way, but Tony and Eric both mostly let them slip by or outright shut them down, reacting to Heenan like any other night. If they had done it and they still wanted Heenan to be the heel, I think he's more than good enough to react with ingratitude towards them, for instance.
Sure.
So they could have still had that dynamic, but with them looking like pure good guys by trying to do the outreach at least. Production was overall quite good, with theme and technical skills both largely strong. We had the usual array of not quite on target camera angles, of course, but the set design and graphics carried over from last year and are still good. The video packages generally did a great job of explaining the admittedly ridiculous storylines. And the actual production of the incredibly stupid monster truck match, I thought was actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Giving fans a clear view of the action, the drivers, and everything. You understood what was going on in that match. It was just that what was going on was boring.
Yeah.
So this is a show that should be one of those middling shows that you'll kind of watch and forget. But ironically, by doing a lot of ridiculous and outright stupid things, it turns around and becomes an incredibly memorable and quite enjoyable show, if maybe not for the reasons that WCW fully intended. This is definitely in the guilty pleasure category, but you know what? A guilty pleasure is still a pleasure.
That's true.
Match of the night and MVP then. So Al, what's your match of the night?
So it's got to be between the Johnny B. Bad DDP TV title match or the Arn Pillman Flair Sting match. Really, nothing else is close enough, unfortunately. He said too short or too not booked well or all that. I lean as a slight edge just from the total package, no pun intended, because it's not the right person, of the tag match. So the Anderson Pillman Flair Sting match for match of the night.
Yeah, for me, there's only one match this could even be, and it's Ric Flair and Sting versus Arn Anderson and Brian Pillman by a country mile for me. Save for having a DQ finish, it could pretty easily make the grade even on a show with other really, really good matches. It's a great example of the classic tag team formula with the twist that the face in peril really does have to do the whole match by himself. Sting, Flair, Arn, and Pillman put on a masterclass performance, with Flair and Sting in particular working the crowd to a fever pitch with unmatched skill. Even on a better overall show, I would probably be picking this match.
Yeah, that's fair. I will say, while it's not quite as good a match, obviously, the fact that the opening match does so well to set the show up, it's a extra bonus point for me as well.
It's a good match. It's a very, very solidly good match. Absolutely.
Yeah. I think the extra work it does for the show itself makes it slightly closer to being quality to that.
I get that. Yeah. MVP?
Yeah, a lot of good choices, thankfully. Quickly, I mean, Johnny Bad does good, even when he's befuddled by Mean Gene's weird choices in the promos. DDP for, being DDP, obviously. Savage for his crazy mustache-related insults. I wish his matches were better I could really push him further, but I can't. The Sheik for walking into a moonsault for no apparent reason and throwing a fireball for no apparent reason. The Master for just bellowing at the crowd, who just totally loved it, Honestly, Kevin Sullivan for holding it together during that same promo, delivering an enjoyably insane promo, and then it's sort of subtle work he does with the Luger and Ming match, which I don't enjoy that match, but really his work not doing anything does stand out in a show like this.
It is impressive how well he does at making not doing something actually kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Because he plays with your expectations quite well in that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The Giant, obviously, for just showing his natural athleticism and just aptitude for this. I think if he could have done a little more in his match itself, and I understand why he didn't, again, 2-3 matches, he could pull ahead as a Dark Horse MVP, but he's not quite there yet. At this rate, he's going there a lot faster than anyone would have guessed.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Everyone involved in the tag match, which talk about how great that is. I think Arn maybe ages out a little bit just because he has to do the lion's share of the controlling tag match formula. And he gets the great line where he sort of indicts the audience for wanting the Horseman back.
Mm-hmm.
But everyone involved in that match does really well. For me, I think I'm going to slight edge, even though it breaks my general rule of going outside of match of the night. I think Arn's just so good, I kind of give him to this.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's going to be the less talked about part of this package.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because Sting and Flair have their back and forth. Pillman just could be crazy and get thrown around by Sting. Arn's the anchor, and the match without him doesn't work as well.
Absolutely. I can totally see that. And I'm thrilled that Arn got an MVP. I'm not sure that we've done that as often as you would think, considering how much both of us, and me especially, love Arn Anderson, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for me, it was definitely between the 4 guys in the tag match. I mean, that's just far and away the best performance on the show. All 4 guys do amazing work in that match. As you said, Arn is very much the anchor of that match. Pillman adds a lot of character on the heel side. Flair does exceptional work on the apron, possibly the best performance while waiting for a tag that we've ever seen. Does everything he can to get the crowd excited and pumped up and engaged with the match in the ring, and he reacts to everything, which is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Sting, meanwhile, works one side of a roughly 17-minute tag match by himself, and he's fully capable of doing so, while also playing his role to the hilt and getting the crowd incredibly charged up.
Yeah.
Flair also has a great promo after the match, as does Arn. As you pointed out, that's a terrific line on his part. I want to just pick all 4 of them.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. I think if I have to go with one of them, it's going to be Sting.
Okay.
Because so much of the match's physicality and story depended heavily on him. So it's much like why you picked Arn. I think on his side, more depends on Sting.
Yeah.
He has to keep the action going for the entire match.
Yeah.
Flair has a really important role as well, but Flair isn't fighting physical exhaustion during it, basically.
Well, and he works half the match, to be fair, as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Roughly half.
So yeah, I think I'll go with Sting here. Just so much of the physicality and story depend heavily on him. And I think what brings it up for me is that his reaction to Flair's betrayal is just so immediate and emotional and visceral that we didn't even need a promo from him to see exactly what he thought.
Yeah.
It's really close. I could easily have gone with Arn myself. I could easily have gone with Flair. I could easily have gone with Pillman. But Sting pulls out the win for me, I think.
That's fair, yeah.
I'll give an honorable mention as well to Randy Anderson for not only doing a really good job in his various referee performances tonight, but for being willing to throw himself into genuine danger when a fan runs into the ring during the Savage Zodiac match.
Yeah.
He had no way of knowing the fan's intentions or if he might have been armed.
Yeah.
And he successfully held him back until security could get there. And he deserves a ton of credit for that. Very brave man.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of fun that he also got to do the same with Flair in a fictional context later in the night.
Oh, yeah.
And that wraps up our review of Halloween Havoc 1995. If you've enjoyed listening to us tonight, you can find us on Facebook as Let's Go to the Ring. A link will be available in the episode description. Follow us for episode announcements and other show details, and share your own thoughts about each show as we go through. You can subscribe to our show on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, YouTube Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, Spotify, TuneIn, or Pandora. And please, if you've enjoyed this show, give us a rating or review, and share the show through your favorite social media platforms to help others discover us. Many thanks to OSW Review for attendance of pay-per-view figures, and to Gina Trujillo for our logo. Next up, normally, this is where I would tell you that our next episode is Halloween Havoc 1996, a night of terror and suspense. Ooh. Or alternately, a night of terror you'll never forget. Either of which is about the most generic Halloween-themed tagline you could ever get.
Yeah.
But for folks who aren't aware, the situation with WCW pay-per-views is a bit up in the air right now. At time of recording, WCW content has been removed from Peacock. We actually could only record this episode because Halloween Havoc 1995 was on the official WCW YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
1996, to the best of my knowledge, is not yet available. So what's next? Well, until that situation hopefully works out, we thought we might do a movie review. So next up, a film that actually gets featured, kind of, on WCW broadcast in late 1996. Three Ninjas, High Noon on Mega Mountain, featuring Hulk Hogan playing a beloved TV hero for a movie filmed shortly after his heel turn and released still during his heel turn.
Yeah, true.
As you might imagine, that made cross-promotion complicated.
Yeah.
This is Bob Moore for Alec Pridgeon, signing off. Good night, everybody.
Happy wrestling.
The narration is way over the top and kind of an odd episode preview of a Saturday morning Halloween. Sorry, episode preview of a Saturday. How can I not say that? Dong 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 dong.
Do 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 do.